I actually don't know where the Russian hacker is in the show, but we thought it was a funny title, so we'll just pretend. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This time with more Cold War intrigue. I'm going to mute myself in just a second, and D, go for it. Take it.
Hello, my friends. This is Vladimir, the Russian number one hacker. You have to be 21 and over to be here, or I will hack your system. If you're under 21, you need to leave now. Back to you, Fumi.
He means it too. The accent really sells it. Ladies and germs, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to hit the like button if you can. If you guys don't hit the like button right away, that's understandable. If you guys enjoy the show and find it rewarding and, I don't know, entertaining and perhaps informative or whatever you find it in some positive way, please do hit the like button. It helps in some way. I'm not really 100% sure, but it does seem to help. Don't forget, of course, to subscribe and, of course, tell your friends if you guys have friends that are into the things that we're into, because I don't want to get banned saying the words right up front. If you are into the same kind of culture that we're into, ladies and gentlemen, for example, my tasting group is probably going to be called the Dank Culture Collective. If you're into that kind of dank culture, you know what I'm talking about. Ladies and germs, don't forget to tell your friends. And, of course, like I said, yeah, honestly, just subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my other channels. This is, of course, kind of the second channel. We're on Fumidoro right now well, he probably knows already. But in the meantime, for anyone that doesn't know, this is basically the second channel. The main channel is actually back. Thankfully, it's been down for a really long time. Knock on wood, it's been more than a week that we've been back. So at the moment, we're still back. So that's really awesome. Fumidor and the Flavors is the main channel, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the two backup channels D is showing right there, just like I was talking about earlier, Dank Culture Collective and Fumes of Gold. Don't be surprised that there's no videos on Dank Culture Collective. I haven't broadcast anything on there yet, but Fumes of Gold has, I don't know, 2 or 3 videos, something like that. So, ladies and germs, do please subscribe to both. I will probably, well, I will try anyway to try to put, I will try to try, whatever. Anyway, Yoda would be so mad. I will try to put tasting videos basically on that Dank Culture Collective channel as a main channel. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I'm freaking talking so weirdly already. But anyway, ladies and germs, what am I trying to forget to say? What am I trying to remember to say? Well, it's if you know, the conversation today is epic. Fuck, actually, I don't remember, honestly. So I guess we'll just move on. Apparently, Zoom is telling me the meeting is being live streamed. Thank you. Good to know. In the meantime, though, don't forget to say hello in chat, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys, I guess that's one thing that I sometimes forget to say. If you didn't know, we have a live chat. There's quite a few people that show up. For example, Crime War Grows is first today, Hardcore right behind him, and Couch right behind him. We have quite a few people that I'm sure will show up a little bit later here. But in the meantime, folks, if you didn't know, honestly, sometimes people don't know that there's actually a live chat. There's a lot of stuff that people watch that doesn't require a live chat. For example, if you watch a recorded video or something, there's usually not a live chat except for at the premiere. YouTube does premieres, and then basically there's like a live chat when that happens. But in the meantime, if you just normally watch stuff like in your subscription feed or whatever, hours after it was posted or something, you'd never really know that there was a whole community basically on YouTube that in many cases is kind of the best part. So folks, a lot of the folks, first of all, that do hop on the channel came from in fact, most, I'd say basically all of the people, D included, came from the chat. I didn't because obviously it's my fucking channel. But other than me, basically everybody pretty much came from the chat. There's been a couple friends maybe that I've invited, but most of the time they're not even really regulars. So honestly, everybody that's a regular on the panel and so on came straight from the chat. So ladies and gentlemen, don't be shy rather to say hello in the chat. Please do. Please say hello. Say who you are. You don't have to say who you are, but you know what I mean. Just say hello. Tell us about yourself in some way, or just kind of check in. You don't have to tell us anything if you don't want to. But tell us how you grow if you'd like to ask some questions. That's always fun to hear. We don't get nearly enough questions on this show. It's kind of baffling to me. There's so many other shows where some of the people don't really know the answers, I want to say kind of quietly. But in the meantime, there's a lot of questions on those shows to which the people get bad answers, right? But in the meantime, here you'd actually get a lot of good answers from some of the folks like fucking Bud Kilowatt and so on. There's a lot of folks here that really know what they're talking about. Nugs, when he stops by, he's quite humble about things, but actually has been a head grower at a bunch of different places. He's quite informed. Anyway, knows a lot of the different breeders and so on personally. So anyway, it's kind of baffling to me that people don't ask more questions, honestly, because I feel like you're missing out. Frankly, you're missing out on a free opportunity. There's other channels that you have to pay. You have to fucking be Patreon members and shit to ask a question. Like here, you just have to say, "Hey, what do you blah 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 blah." I guess I should ask. I should charge you all $5 just for being here. All right, give me some money. The Pip Jam, cough up, Pip Jam, right now. Dirty the Grower, good to see you. Fucking cough up right now. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to post the link here in a second, and you guys are welcome to hit it. No, beat it, I guess Michael Jackson would say. But in the meantime, in this case, you are not going to beat the link because that just really wouldn't mean anything, honestly. But you can hit this link and join the show. We are a friendly bunch here. Most of us. I mean, I guess some of us are not that friendly, but we're pretty friendly. Fuck, I'm in the wrong. I'm on Funeral in the Flare. So that's my main channel, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. If you did not know, I just posted from my main channel, except it probably will get deleted because I'm not a moderator on my own channel. I'm gonna have to fix that. All right, in a second here, I'm gonna post the link. And in the meantime, we're going to say hello to D. And ladies and gentlemen, please do hit the link. So I'm going to mute myself. Go for it, D.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, chat? What's going on, panel? Well, I guess streaming right now. I hope everybody's having a great day. Thanks for coming and hanging out in the safety meeting. Um, um, oh shit, my brain just went dung. I'm smoking on some hash still. Actually, I'm smoking on Fumador. Well, it was a gifter's that gifted me the hash, but it was actually Fumador's flower. I think it's Black Prince Ruby and Lime River Rose. I'm smoking on. What else? So yeah, don't forget to find me on Instagram if you haven't already. I'm at D underscore zombie underscore. You can also find me on my YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, just like this channel here. Hit that like button and the subscribe and the bell, and you get notified at D zombie underscore 745. Hope everyone's having a great day. Cheers.
Cheers, D.
Hello.
Good to see you. So there's the link, ladies and gentlemen. Let me pin it so that I don't forget. There we go. That is pinned. Uh, excuse me. Goodness gracious. Good to see everybody. Good to see Couch and Senny. Who else in here? Dirty the Grower. Long time, man. Honestly, how long has it been since we've seen
Oh
you?
shit.
Been a little bit. Have you been? How's it growing? All that. Dirty is actually from my neck of the woods, roughly, sort of the same state anyway. About I don't know, what, couple 300 miles away. How far is it? Honestly, maybe a couple 100 miles tops. Anyway, Southern Oregon, I want to say. But he's, I think, more of an outdoor grower and stuff. So anyway, how you doing, Dirty? Good to see you.
Hey, Dirty.
What's he saying here? He's saying there's a guy who begs handicap fans he has for liquor shot. Oh, Jesus, H Christ, begs handicap fans he has for liquor money, basically. Awesome, awesome people. Anyway, let's see here. Miss Chronic's in the house. Good to see you, Miss Chronic. Always welcome to see you. Grateful is in the house as well. Cheers. Good to see you. He's saying cheers, rather. I don't know why I'm reading so badly. Benny Ben's in the house saying cheers, Fumi D. Cheers back to you, Benny. Who
Hello.
else in here? Did I say
I'm
hello?
not
I
in the
think I
chat
said
right
no.
now.
I demanded money of Pipchan. That's what I did. Cheers, Pipchan. Good to see
Yeah.
you. Coffee Pot's in the house. He says, "How do you do, fellow kids? How do you do, indeed?" And goodness gracious, he says, "I worked third shift and did outdoor or." Worked shift outdoor, one of the two or both. Southern Oregon, Medford, and Ashland. Sometimes people call it Methford. Of course, it's not nearly as bad as people think. It is very conservative down in Medford, but also very warm, surprisingly, like weirdly kind of, how do I put it? Like in the summertime, especially really warm. In the winter, I guess it's actually really cold, but it's like disproportionately warm for where it is. I don't know. Somehow I'm always surprised when I drive through there. But anyway, that's not very insightful, honestly. He was saying out working third fit shift, did outdoor Hugel Kultur, beds, 3 rows, on and on. Yeah. He said 100% Hugel Kultur. Tell us about Dirty Grower. How long were the beds built? Did you build them yourselves? Was it your own land or something? Did you guys build it a few years ago? What was the story? From what I understand, Hugel Kultur can't really be beat after a few years, but it's often kind of challenging for the first few years because the whole mass of wooden stuff hasn't really activated, basically, hasn't started rotting or anything. And so there's not really a whole lot of there, basically. You don't really have a lot of soil and stuff. But after a few years, after that shit turns into mulch pretty much, oh fuck, you're minted. Apparently you don't have to water nearly as much. A big advantage in California, evidently, and also Southern Oregon, where it doesn't rain nearly as much in the summertime. And depending where you are, if you're to the east of the mountains, it certainly doesn't rain even in the wintertime, honestly. A lot of people don't realize that basically the eastern two-thirds, honestly, of Oregon, probably not even half, but almost more like two-thirds, is I don't know, it's at least probably 55% is basically high desert, essentially. So it doesn't really rain. It gets a little bit of snow and stuff, but it doesn't really precipitate nearly like it does on the western side, basically, because we have two mountain ranges basically in the way. So we have the Cascade and the Coast Ranges, basically. And the Willamette Valley is at the north of Oregon, basically, is really rich, fertile soil, basically sandwiched right between those two mountain ranges. So we just get a bunch of rain, but just the perfect amount. The coast gets a fuck pile of rain because all that moisture from the coast is blowing onshore and then basically bouncing up against those mountains and then just dumping in the freaking water. And then so like we don't get those deluges. We get basically the right amount of rain. It's hilarious how the world like blesses certain regions somehow, isn't it? It's fucking ridiculous. I was thinking about how like Saudi Arabia, if they didn't have oil, they would have basically nothing. Like they even have to import construction sand because their sand is the wrong kind of sand. So people say, "Oh, they have sand." No, actually that sand is perfectly useless. Like it's wind-blown sand, so it's smooth basically, so you can't put it in concrete because the concrete literally won't like affix. It'll just basically kind of crumble over time. It's really idiotic, honestly. So they have to literally import sand from other parts of the fucking world. Anyway, good to see you, hardcore. What's going on, buddy? There's the
Not a whole
convocation
lot.
of the heads, by the way, right there. That's a good one.
Homer was in that one.
Yeah, I saw that. Grateful is saying there will be this will be the 2 year or year two rather of my biochar being in my outdoor soil, expecting big results. Yeah, let us know, Grateful. That's a good one. People used to talk quite a bit more. That's a nice one. People talk about used to talk a lot about biochar. Ever since it's I don't know, not ever since, but in the last couple of years, it's been more of a kind of an ambivalent thing. I think a lot of people, including studies, I think sort of posted like inconclusive results basically with it. It sort of did what people said it would, but didn't really accomplish what people said it would, right? Insofar as it is a microbial home, that's apparently documentable, but it doesn't really seem to be that much better of a colonial foothold or something. I don't know. People were really kind of describing it like that. They were basically describing biochar as this place where microbes take hold and have safe haven whenever the soil dries out and whatever, and they'll re-inoculate the soil and stuff. And I think the jury is really out on that. There's some really good Simpsons themed high noons right there. Freaking hardcore. Dirty the Grower, on the other hand, is saying biochar is thumbs up. Good to see you, Mystic Citizen. Welcome. Zesty Air's in the house. He's saying Hügelkultur for the win. Literally just means hill culturing, pretty much in German. There it is. Nice Western themed one. Love it.
I'm trying to grab them all.
Nice. You could just ask Ryan. He could give you the higher quality one instead of having to screenshot the shitty fucking
On the screen, I don't
YouTube
care.
screen. Uh, that's true. It's more the content than the typography. High noon safety meeting. Nagasude.
Just
True high
checking the
noon
safety on
at
the
at
gun.
the top. I love how it's all babbly. Anyway, welcome, folks. Firefly UK is in the house. What's going on, buddy? St. Pete Runner in the house. Welcome. Hit the link, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be shy. Hit the link and join us. If you can't show your face, just pick a background. Pick one of these backgrounds for all anybody fucking cares, honestly.
Yeah,
And then just block your camera. That's fine. Honestly, there's a lot of people that come on here. There's still to this day, there's a bunch of people who've never shown their face. Well, not on purpose. Anyway, there a couple times accidentally. Tao and a few other people basically never show their face. So, ladies and gentlemen, honestly,
I
feel
never
free
show my
to.
face.
That's right. You show the your true soul. No, I couldn't think of anything clever. Sorry, folks. High noon safety meeting. That's one of my favorites right there. That was a good one.
Damn it.
Organic Soul Gardens is in the house. He's saying, is Terra Preta really that good? Speaking of biochar, basically the black soil from the Amazon. Wonder what a bag of that goes for with shipping. Interesting question. So the
Get lifted.
which culture? Several cultures, I guess. But the South Americans, rather, in the jungle soil is famously poor, actually, ironically. Even though there's that incredible diversity above ground, below ground, it's actually apparently quite shallow soil, partly because there's no time for anything to really compost on the ground. It just gets scooped up and eaten by something else. There's no real time for nutrients to slowly develop into the ground. They just get fucking scattered and turned into more birds and stuff. That sounded like God did it, but you know what I mean, right? Like worms get eaten by little birds and stuff, and that becomes a bird rather than compost in the soil. What was I trying to say? So the Amazonians, I guess, what the fucking Incas and the Mayas, or am I getting the civilizations wrong? Anyway, regardless, the guys that built the pyramids and stuff, basically in South America, they would purposefully burn swaths of land. They would burn forests. They would burn wood in certain areas that they were practicing agriculture, and that wood basically would form biochar because they would basically create a kind of a charcoal with it. They would smother it basically before it completely burned, and then that basically would contribute to the soil over time as they did it over and over and over again. They would basically plant in that soil and then burn over it and then plant in it and so on. And then over time, it became a so-called black soil. Terra preta, I guess, just means ready soil. Doesn't it mean ready soil? But let's look that up. But it's actually a lot of times translated to black soil. Hold on, terra preta. Terra preta. Oh, Portuguese. It's fucking Portuguese. That's why, because it's goddamn Brazil. You see, look this shit up. Don't just be a dumbass. Terra preta, literally black soil in Portuguese, is a type of very dark, fertile, anthropogenic, in other words, human-made soil. They also call it anthrasol. It'd be a good name for a band. Anthrasol coming to you soon. Found in the Amazon basin. It's also known as the Amazonian dark earth or Indian black earth. In Portuguese, its full name is Terra preta do Índio or Terra preta de Indio, black soil of the Indian, Indian's black earth, or terra mulata, mulatto earth. All of these are very racist. Okay. Is lighter or brownish in color. Terra preta owes its characteristic black color to its weathered charcoal content and was made by adding a mixture of charcoal, bones, broken pottery, compost, and manure to the low fertility Amazonian soil. See, I wasn't fucking lying. See, you thought I was lying, motherfucker. You should do 5 laps around your desk and then smoke another joint. Product of indigenous Amazonian soil management and slash and char agriculture, the charcoal is stable and remains in the soil for thousands of years, binding and retaining minerals and nutrients. Terra preta is characterized by the presence of low temperature charcoal residues in high concentrations, of high quantities of tiny pottery shards, of organic matter such as plant residues, animal feces, fish and animal bones, and other material. By the way, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the tiny pottery shards in, for example, mixed soil, the recipe is taken by the part of the recipe is taken by pumice, basically. So it's same uh, porous aeration medium, essentially, basically breaks up the monotony of that soil. Fish and animal bones and other material, and of nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium, zinc, and manganese. Fertile soils such as terra preta show high levels of microorganic activities and other specific characteristics within the particular ecosystems. Terra preta zones are generally surrounded by terra comum, or common soil. These are infertile soils, maybe mainly acrosols. That'd be the good opening band. Acrosol. But also ferrosols and arenasols. Not bad opening bands either. Deforested arable soils in the Amazon are productive for a short period of time before their nutrients are consumed or leached away by rain or flooding. This forces farmers to migrate to an unburned area and clear it by fucking fire. Terra preta is less prone to nutrient leaching because of its high concentration of charcoal, microbial life, and organic matter. The combination accumulates nutrients, minerals, and microorganisms and withstands leaching. Terra preta soils were created by farming communities between 450 BC and 950 BC, in other words, about 2,500 years ago to 3,000 years ago. Soil depths can reach 2 meters. It's reported to regenerate itself at the rate of 1 centimeter per year. Look at that shit. Pretty fucking baller, right? Oh, I should read this too. Soils with elevated charcoal content and a common presence of pottery remains can accrete accidentally near living quarters as residues from food preparation, cooking fires, animal and fish bones, broken pottery, etc., accumulated. In other words, it's garbage. Many terra preta soil structures are now thought to have formed under kitchen middens, as well as being manufactured while a midden is an old lump of domestic waste which may consist of animal bone, human excrement, botanical material, mollusk shells, pot sherds, in other words, just broken pots, lithics, and other artifacts and ecofacts associated with past human occupation. In other words, a dump out your fucking back window. As well as being manufactured intentionally on larger scales. Farmed areas around living areas are referred to as terra mulata. Terra mulata soils are more fertile than surrounding soils, but less fertile than terra preta, and were most likely intentionally improved using charcoal. This type of soil appeared between, again, 4,500 BC, 950 BC throughout the Amazon basin. Recent research has reported that terra preta may be of natural origin, suggesting that pre-Columbian people intentionally utilized and improved existing areas of soil fertility scattered among areas of lower fertility. So don't forget, it could have been accidental. Anyway, thanks for bringing that up, Organic Soul Gardens.
Did you know how they found?
Bud Kilowatts in the house. What's that? Hardcore? Hardcore?
Even though it's a little bit north of there, do you know how they got the name Yucatan? Because the
No, I've heard
Spanish
this, but
guys,
I don't remember. Go ahead.
the Spanish guys were on their ships and they were yelling at a bunch of Aztecs, trying to figure out what the name of that place was, and they yelled back Yucatan, which means I don't know your words.
I believe it. That sounds just like a fucking Westerner. Like, the fuck place is this? In Spanish or in English or some shit. Where's the bathroom? Look, these natives are rude. Jesus, they don't even speak English.
Yeah, that whole Spanish conquest of that area was a crazy story.
Yep. Or the fact that the conquistadors and the explorers, in many cases, were sailing by or going through these gigantic settlements in the jungle, completely abandoned of people, and they had no idea what the fuck was going on. Literally, like empty of civilization. And it turned out that the first explorers had basically passed smallpox and all these fucking diseases to the natives that spread like wildfire through the entire continent and killed off like 95% of the population. Fucking ridiculous. In North and South America, both. Fucking ludicrous. Organic Soul Garden, stop talking about your mama like that. CTC is vaping some Ruby Jack, Rosewater Forward, and Grapefruit, or BPR rather. Nice, man. BPR is basically a distilled Ruby Jack, so it's wouldn't be unfair to call it a Ruby Jack F2, honestly. 1001 Nights that I need to get back into, honestly, is essentially a Ruby Jack BX2, maybe something like that. I'm not really 100% sure because it was crossed back to the mom a couple times, but with different fathers, basically with the father and then with the son, and then cross back to the mother two times. So anyway, that one is a distilled Ruby Jack, basically distilling the kind of overwhelming grapefruit ends of the Ruby Jack line, because Ruby Jack was probably 60% grapefruit and then about 25% strawberry, and then the rest of the 25% was, I don't know, maybe 5% lemon. The distinct lemon came up a couple times. For the first time that the first seed that I grew, the earliest harvest one, in fact probably the one of the shortest finishing ones actually ever, because I smoked that one before anything else. I thought it was just basically Jack Herer because it essentially was like lemon, just lemon with a little bit of pine and stuff like that. I thought it was basically just Jack, because Stevie had told me that it was on the father's side, son of Jack. Anyway, by the way, I'm really thinking these days that the why can't I think of the name of it right now? The Ruby Slippers. There we go. Oh, fuck. Is not the cross that Stevie told me, because he's told me it was basically a three-way cross of, which is very plausible. I always basically saw these plants in it. Alaskan Thunderfuck, Shishkaberry, and um Jesus Christ, my brain doesn't work anymore. What the fuck was the other one? Alaskan Thunderfuck, Shishkaberry, and NL5. You can see all of those in there, but that's almost cheating because all of those are basically in almost everything. Maybe except with the exception of Shishkaberry, but NL5 for sure, and Thunderfuck. Anytime you get that kind of funky note, there's a good chance that Thunderfuck was what did it. Uh, what was I going to say? The clone still exists, so I thought it was dead. I guess I wasn't looking very well because for the longest time, honestly, I never really grew with clones. But for a couple, 3, 4 years now, I've been growing with clones, or growing at least partly with clones, and picking up clones here and there and around Portland. And sure enough, I picked up weed a couple times that was Ruby Slippers that tasted and felt, from the high and everything else, distinctly similar to the Ruby Jack. Like if you were to take the Son of Jack elements basically out of it, it would be that pretty much. The flower is that similar. So now I just have to track down the Ruby Slippers clone. I just have to get around to asking for it because I don't think it's even going to be that hard to get. Um, Anyway, I might have to ask around a little bit, but it probably shouldn't take that much time, even when I get onto it. I just haven't had time to do it, honestly. But the cross in Portland, when it's sold as flower in Portland, they're saying that it's basically a Kaya's Dream something or other. It was a specific selection of Kaya's Dream and crossed to an ancient OG, I want to say. And both of those crosses are super plausible for what came through it. But clearly, some of that somewhere along the way. Either that Son of Jack line added all that citrus, or the amalgamation of the two did, or something. Because Ruby Jack itself came out predominantly grapefruity, and 60%, like I said, grapefruity with, I don't know, 5% ridiculous lemon, and then sort of that 25% vague citrusy oranges, grapefruitiness, strawberries, whatever, basically. Even raspberry one time, couple different things. Oh, one was like sour burgundy wine. That was a baller one, honestly. That was fucking ridiculously frosty. That one was just like white, basically. It was white with red on the inside. It was crazy. I wish I'd kept that one. Anyway, um, I think that one didn't clone well or something. There was a reason why I didn't keep it, but it was a crazy one. It was kind of an outlier. Anyway, what are you looking at? Who's showing this? Hardcore?
You ever heard of this Zocamilco or whatever? This is why the Aztec, like why the Mexico City got so big back when it, like in the
Mm.
1700s or whatever, pre-Columbian they call it or whatever, because there was like a million
Oh,
people
so
that
that
were
was the
all in
lake that
this.
the city was on. Okay.
Yeah, they were like a mile above sea, or like it's like higher than fucking Denver, and but they had enough. They made these floating gardens
Yeah.
on the
No, when you read about that, that's a super sad story. Actually, the
on the big
conquistadors
lake.
broke it basically to fuck up to conquer the city, and they didn't have to fucking break it, honestly. But they just did, and to this day, it's been broken basically. It was this honestly a wonder of the world, probably.
Because I think it used to be like a part of a big, there's like a salt lake, but they
It's
actually
a
like
swamp
dammed
basically.
off a
Yeah,
third of it
yeah,
to make it fresh water. And they would just keep taking mud and piling it on top of the fucking branches and shit.
yeah. Just fucking the chat, folks in the chat, by the way. Doc Diesel, Jack Beanstalk, the Glass Girl. Good to see you. Long time no see, or long time no see live. I know she checks the show a lot of times on repeat. Good to see you. Jones N2 Grows in the house. What's going on, buddy? Who else in here? Well, anyway, if I haven't seen you guys, or if I haven't said
Man,
hello,
stop
hello
sharing.
everybody. Hop on the show, folks. Holy shit. We don't have that much left in the show, so I don't know, maybe 40, 50 minutes or something. So, folks, hop on, join us. The show could go longer. If Bud or somebody hops on, of course, the show could go a little bit longer, but I certainly have a few things to do, and Dee probably has some things to do too. That's a really interesting lamp you have behind there. I don't think I ever noticed that lamp behind you, Dee. That's
Oh,
cool.
that really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on. I'll go check it out.
You normally have your background on, so I never really see it.
This this lamp came all the way from Spain.
Oh, right on. We were just making fun of
And
Spanish people.
it belonged to my grandmother, my nanny. And
Look at that.
then she had, so she had to
Yeah.
buy, when she bought this lamp, she had to actually carry it on the airplane
Hmm.
with her and bring it back so it wouldn't get
No
broken.
shit. How funny.
Yeah, it's like expensive.
Oh, my dad had a lamp similar to that a long time ago.
It's very,
I'm
very
selling it on
old.
Craigslist because it was not, I don't know. I guess I kind of regret not keeping it now. That looks really cool. It was, oh goodness, it's been a long time. It was, oh, now that I think about it, I had two of them, but they were very different. The whole body, I guess they were different than that, but it was basically a big ceramic, they're fucking tall, ceramic porcelain woman, kind of a dancer, sort of similar to that, but she was like a ballet dancer, basically. And then the lampshade, I don't know if I had a lampshade for it, or maybe I threw the lampshade away or something. I can't remember honestly. But anyway, yeah, and her arm went up, and then basically out of the arm came the bulb socket. It was so cheesy, but it was like it was a handmade. It was honestly baller. It had been hand sculpted and everything. You could see where the clay had been put together and everything, the porcelain rather. And I'm forgetting the second one. Anyway. Yeah, I kind of regret. I think I sold them on Craigslist for $50 or something, honestly, to somebody who was like, "Oh my God, this is so amazing." So I thought, like, oh, it's probably a happy ending for that lamp. But anyway, Craigslist is a funny place. Diggers in the house, what's going on, buddy? Welcome.
I'm kind of a lamp fiend. I've had a lot of lamps.
Goodness gracious, hardcore! You are a fiend of many things. You were talking about Murano glass yesterday. You are a collector and
I
embellisher of tractor wheels. What else?
I would
Fuck, you told us another.
swag out lamps, like glass globe lamps. I would get a fucking swag light kit for them and fucking sell them as hanging lights. Here's a pair. So these ones I bought for $75 for the pair, and I think I sold them for 400.
Hmm.
They're tall as shit, but they sat in the same fucking antique store for like fucking 2 years. And finally, I told the guy, I'm like, knock a little bit off those things. I'll take them after I already had a buyer lined up. And they came with these
I mean, it worked out.
these two guys that were um they had this little tiny car and the lampshades wouldn't fit in their car and they drove like an hour and a half to get there. I'm like, you saw I did fucking explain how big those things were. That's the reason why you bought them, because they were fucking huge. They came in this little hatchback that I think they just like tied them to the roof and shit and hoped. Here's one that's
Hmm.
got like gold leaf embossed on it and shit.
Hmm.
I didn't swag that one, but
Lithium dishes. I didn't really know what those are. Are you talking about uranium glass?
me?
No, Zesty in the chat was talking about lithium dishes, and I just Googled it. I'm like it, and it is something that apparently exists, but I can't find any pictures of it really. Are you talking about these, Zesty? Basically, it's this ethereally green glass, and even in this is sunlight right here where the cursor is pointing.
I've got
That
uranium
is
glass shit.
super green, but under like UV glass, it's like neon green, basically. Oh,
Yeah, I've had like
there
a
you go.
Fenton owl that was custard glass, it's called. That was phosphorescent or fluorescent or whatever the fuck that is.
What is that shit? Uranium?
And some of that shit's really expensive too.
There's a
They're
guy that does these swaglet lamps that I'm gonna show you a couple of out of Vegas that
What's up, bud?
guy just makes stupid money because but he's got like a street team all across Facebook Marketplace across the nation that buys them for him.
Oh,
Yeah, we're called pickers.
that's right. There's a couple TV shows in Canada that do that. Eh?
I'm always out hustling.
Hmm.
I've sold
Take
an
that
oil can
knowledge
to
you learn and turn it into money.
Rick Wolf's brother, the guy on that American Pickers, was a Wolf oil can.
Yeah, the red and white.
Cheers,
I never
Denzel.
even like I never even had the can. I just tagged him in it and he thanked me, so that I kind of say that I fucking stealing credit a little bit. But.
Yeah. Did you ever figure out how to get on your Facebook?
Oh,
We actually told they wanted to come to my parents' storage lockers, and we pretty much told them you don't have enough money to come. Because what they do is they go through all your shit and they cherry pick the best stuff and then they try to lowball you on it. Some
Well,
of the
'cause that's their
prices
job.
they overpay, but well, if you're going to come in and I'm going to give you deals on items, I'm not going to spend a whole day and let you pick out $200-300 worth of items. That's a
Well, you
waste of
always
my
get that.
time.
You always get them.
Well, if you're
I
going
did
to
the
come
pictures.
do a show and I'm going to open up my house and, a $500,000, $750,000 antique collection, and you're going to spend $300 with me? No.
Yeah, but then if he ever comes across a piece that you had that $1 million piece that he couldn't afford, he'll give you a call and say, "Hey, I found this $1 million piece. You want to buy?"
Believe me.
I'm just fucking.
I deal in sports and comic books, and that shit's already been priced out. most of the stuff has been found, put in collections, and until those collections come up for availability, you ain't never going to see that stuff again.
Hmm.
What the hell? Anyone else see Bug Kilowatt's camera going crazy?
I'm pissed.
Oh, he's just walking around. I should probably just remove the spotlight.
Okay.
Like when I bought that damn lamp.
He was looking at peacocks, so it's kind of
Oh my
funny.
God.
It's kind of like with guitars. What was it, like 15 years
Get
ago? I had a couple of used guitars that I wanted to get rid of, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to go to the guitar store. I'm sure they want them there." And they basically all but laughed me out of the store. And the reason why was they were like, "Oh, dude, like the last couple of years, guitars have just absolutely exploded." And I was literally like, I went from guitar. I was down on Sunset Boulevard in California, which is like Guitar Row. Am I fucking muted? Okay, no. Well, at least there used to be like 40 guitar stores. Now there's probably not nearly as many, honestly, because a lot of them were closing down and going internet only. Literally, a couple of them were telling me like, "Oh, today's our last day, bro. We're literally closing tomorrow." I was like, "What? I just walked in on your last day?" They're like, "Yeah, you literally walked in on our last day." Their guitar selection had become so valuable, essentially overnight, like within a couple of years, but basically overnight, that literally like the open stock of used guitars in their back room became worth a few $1 million. And so they would start selling these fucking guitars privately online or by appointment only for $40,000 a piece. And what it was like these guitars that had just a couple of years earlier had just been used guitars. Essentially, they were just used Gibson Fender fucking guitars in the back room. They suddenly became, instead of being worth maybe $2,000, $2,500, like a normal guitar might be worth, they became worth $40,000 overnight because Silicon Valley billionaires and all this different stuff grew up, right? Like people that were 50 years old and buying fucking McLarens, they were also buying their dream guitars from when they were kids, you know? And those guitars, fuck, they were cheap when they started buying them, but overnight they became 40, $50,000. Isn't that fucking
When
ridiculous?
I went back to the States after being here for just over a year the first time, I went back and I started looking for just a regular LP Gibson, Les Paul Gibson, or even a hollow body 365. Now, those used to be like 6, 7, 800 bucks. Man, an LP Gibson now is like 13, 1400, and a 365 is like 3 grand.
Did you know that? So the Stairway to Heaven scene in Wayne's World, um, they could only afford to play for the rights to that song or no. So they had the song in the thing. They played it for the in the theaters. He started with the first few notes of the Stairway, but then they couldn't afford the rights to put those notes on the fucking on the actual movie. So for 20 years, all the movies and all the releases, he plays the incorrect first few notes, the in Stairway, but he still stops the guitar. But now that I guess the time is ran out or whatever on the copyright, so now they re-released it or whatever with fucking
It's ridiculous.
with the correct first few notes to Stairway.
Right on.
Never know.
I have a
I
question
I
for.
thought once you wrote music, there were no copyright time limitations on that.
Oh yeah, no. Why do you think there's like oh yeah, all sorts of fucking people's libraries come up for I think it's like 50 years or
Sale,
something like that.
they come up for sale.
Or like they become common use. Like that's why all the our
Uh,
fairy tales and shit they're like 100 years
Yeah,
old.
copyright is a certain amount of time after the death of the author, I think. And then trademarks are a different story. Trademarks are for a specific time. I guess they could be forever. I don't remember, honestly. But those are different, obviously. So, for example, like the Disney name is trademarked. It's not just copyrighted. You can't mess around with that, even if Disney were to die or something. Um,
yeah, I thought
hmm,
trademark was indefinite.
let's look it up.
I guess I don't know.
Damn it. I have a question for everybody and chat. Has anyone ever gone into a music store or guitar store and actually tried to play Stairway to Heaven or the May I Help You riff from Wayne's World?
Well, let's see.
The riff that they don't want you to play.
Let's see.
Yeah, tonight.
Yeah, but the thing is he plays the wrong notes. So like, it's crazy.
But it's hilarious. Like it reminds me.
And you play the wrong notes so you don't get sued.
So
Well, I mean, it's
Just
in the
like
movie.
if we really wanted to,
I'm
Fumi
surprised that
could
people
have
didn't pick up on
music
that.
on here and we wouldn't get flagged if he played it at 1.25 speed.
You ever heard?
Or he would play it at 0.75 speed.
You got to hear Jolene by fucking was it Dolly Parton?
Oh, the slow one with Miley Cyrus or whatever.
No, it's just Jolene at what do they call it at 30
Lower
maybe
RPM.
33 RPM, I think.
I've heard the one you're talking about. Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. Oh, it's a good song. Dolly Parton's a really good writer, really good singer too. She doesn't get nearly enough credit, honestly. Even though she gets a lot of credit, she honestly doesn't get enough. So according to copyright.gov, the term of copyright for a particular work depends on several factors, including whether it's been published and if so, the date of first publication. As a general rule, for works created after January 1st, 1978, copyright protection lasts for the life of the author plus an additional 70 years. For an anonymous work, a pseudonymous work, or a work made for hire, the copyright endures for a term of 95 years from the year of its first publication or a term of 120 years from the year of its creation, whichever expires first. For works first published prior to 1978, the term will vary depending on several factors to determine the length of the copyright protection for a particular work, blah, 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 blah. Do I have to renew my copyright? No. Works created on or after January 1st, 1978 are not subject to renewal registration. As to works prior, it's after 28 years and so on and so forth. Anyway, now let me look up a trademark.
So it could be up to 120 years before rights are released on it. Should the Star Spangled Banner was that way in what?
So trademark may not have been renewed. It may have been a trademark that was not renewed. Trademark and copyright protections are not the same, according to the Legal Beagle, who would not listen to a Legal Beagle. They serve different purposes. To properly protect your creation, you first need to determine which method to use. The U.S. patent trade, the U.S. PTO, whatever. It will accept applications from Patent and Trade Office. I don't remember what it's fucking called. Anyway, we'll accept applications from individuals or companies seeking to register an image, logo, or slogan identifying a product or company in commerce. On the other hand, copyright protection is available for an author's original work that is fixed in tangible form. Copyrightable works fall into 8 categories, including literary, dramatic, architectural, musical, and pictorial. Trademark renewal. A trademark can last indefinitely so long as it's renewed in accordance with Sections 8 and 9 of the Trademark Act and it remains in continuous use. After initial trademark registration, by the way, that's, for example, one of the reasons why you always see these new Sony Spider-Man movies, because first of all, retaining their trademark or retaining the original trademark, but also retaining their contract with with Marvel, I guess. The deal was they had to continually make movies, and so they just randomly change the actors and make more fucking Spider-Man movies that no one wants. Where's this form, a Section 8 Declaration of Use form attests that the trademark is in use in commerce and must be submitted to the USPTO within the 5th and 6th years of initial registration to continue trademark protection, though there is a 6-month grace period. The next renewal must occur during the 9th and 10th years after initial registration. This time, the Section 8 declaration must be submitted. From that point on, trademark protection continues as long as the declaration and renewal applications are filed every 10 years. So if someone forgot to file it in 10 years, oops, it fucking expired, and you can pick it up.
That's hot.
Right?
There, thank you, Fumi. Now we know.
That's it. The more you know.
Knowledge is power.
That's right. It's a reading rainbow. That'd be a great guest on the show. I was going to say, what's his name? LeVar Burton, not Geordie LaForge. Although Geordie LaForge would be a killer guest on the show. Like, Geordie LaForge probably smokes weed. LeVar Burton, I hope smokes weed, but Geordie LaForge, I would imagine, smokes weed.
Yeah.
He actually had a hard
Like,
time wearing that visor
like
during the shooting of that series.
like a
Oh, I
pill.
heard that. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
go figure.
he used to walk
Fucking
in this shit.
opaque visor. Seriously.
Yeah,
Really had to ream on the one to get it out. I know that
Go
much.
act and walk and do things while not being
yeah.
able to see. Okay.
Yeah.
And remember your lines and pronounce them right. And
That's it.
yeah,
And put food in your mouth. There were scenes where they had to eat and shit. You got a fork, not trying to not to stab yourself. Oh my gosh. Seriously.
He's friendly.
too much
Um,
stock.
yeah, exactly. You ever notice how in every sci-fi movie ever, they always take their helmets off, no matter what? Like the first thing they do is they take their helmets off. Basically, it's a plot point, and the reason why it's not even just basically for the acting because they're like, oh, you got to see their face. It's actually more practical than that. It's because the spacesuits are fake, and so they don't have ventilation. So you would
Mhm.
suffocate basically in the fucking suit. So basically, like they would constantly have to take the suit thing off so you can fucking breathe, and it'll fog up and everything, and they have to wipe it off and shit. So they literally they just can't because they're fake suits. So they have to take the helmets off. So that people always say, oh, it's a plot point. No, that's it's less complicated than that. Like it's a fucking we don't have real spacesuits that you could afford, at least in Hollywood. So they have to take the helmet off. Kind of amusing.
If you watch some of the older TV series from space, like Lost in Space, a lot of times they don't even have like a visor or anything in the helmet. It's just open
Mm,
because of that.
hmm
You know, let's just leave it completely open and then he can wear it and we can still see his face and he can breathe.
I've heard stories from actors that played a part that was in a like one of those type of costumes and were in the costume for like 12 straight hours and just about killed them.
Took them 8 hours just to get the suit together and then they
Yeah,
only
seriously.
filmed for like 45 minutes.
No,
Yeah,
that's
well,
really common too. Yeah, like what's his face?
the union made rules about like yeah the amount of hours and because yeah that it can get kind of abusive because once
Mhm,
they get you in and they spend all these hours oh then they want to keep working long
mhm. No, remember
more
the
than 8 hours
the
you know
Drax in the oh fuck, what is that series called? Guardians of the Galaxy. It took like fucking 4, 5, 6 hours to put his makeup on, basically all that blue shit and whatever on his head and everything. Literally 4, 5, 6 hours every single fucking day of shooting, and then there's an 8 to 12 hour day of shooting. Can you imagine those days?
I think like one of the first
Look at
Like
Planet of the Apes was like
oh yeah,
yeah that was like so many people and so many hours of makeup every day.
another
Do you
another
have
good
his shoes left?
another good example is Michael Dorn. Casting call, I guess, when they used to tape Star Trek: The Next Generation, used to be at 6:30 in the morning
mm,
or whatever.
that's right.
But he'd have to be there by like 3
Yeah,
to get all this plastic, all the goop and all the shit on his face.
that's right.
Then do the
It's
act
crazy.
like you said, Fumi. It's crazy.
Yep.
It's for war.
St. Pete's talking about the Mickey Mouse copyright is up. Actually, that's only for the first one for the Steamboat Willie or whatever. And people say like you're better off actually not using it because Disney's going to be so aggressive prosecuting that copyright. So like it's just a specific black and white Steamboat Willie version. Anyway.
Now, when you like, I don't know, but I think like music is it under a different thing. Like, I don't think it's. I guess it's copyrighted, but it's different. Like
It
songs,
all depends.
yeah. Like there's what do you call it? Like the actually the people how you make money on
Publish.
music is the rights. That's like the whoever wrote the song, they're the ones that get money long term. Um,
Not if you were signed contracts in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, I mean there were a lot of and then even like with some bands, then even though like really one member was responsible for writing that song, they would give credit to everybody because then they all would get some of the money.
Yeah, generally 50 to 75 years after the death of the creator.
Yeah. Well, and that's
So if
where the
you write
computer.
something when you're 20 and you live to your 80, that means you've got copyrights on it for 150 years
But I mean, a person can cover it and fucking put it on an album
and pay
as long as they don't
royalties.
like exactly duplicate every note and every fucking and the room tone and everything.
Well, a lot of those free download music, it's like it sounds like a tune that you might know, but it's one or like you say, one note off. Well, all it has to be is one note off, and then it's okay. And like I was gonna say, the computer or
Like
the
you're,
internet or the algorithm, yeah, now like even how YouTube can like oh, if you play music in the background, like it can
you ever
be.
heard that four chord song?
Yeah,
It,
I've seen a thing where basically you can play like every fucking song there is in rock and roll if you know four chords or something
yeah,
like.
dun, 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 dun. I don't know what chords they are. I can't remember them. We didn't have chords on my saxophone.
No, you were just flowing a lot.
But like
On
Oh
the
wood.
man,
way because the
Richard Lewis
latest thing
died.
in music is like a lot of the top artists. Neil Young got just under $1 billion for his library, right?
Hmm.
They wouldn't buy that library if like the copyright was going to expire at a certain point. No, I think
I mean,
with
it will
music
eventually expire, but 70 years after his death, that's a long fucking time. They can make their
after
money.
his death,
Like,
yeah.
no one's gonna know who Neil Young is in 100 years. Like, literally, seriously, who's gonna know who
Well, we
Neil
still know
fucking
who
Young is in 100 years?
Beethoven and Mozart and all those people are.
Yeah,
Now,
but you don't
see
know
that
about who Salieri is or who, I don't know, Schumann or Mendelssohn. There's a fucking hundred
Well, I
composers
know
that
a couple of
basically
those.
most people don't know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's going to be the same thing for everybody in rock music. You know, you might know Elton John and Michael Jackson. I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe they will be fucking Neil Young,
Well,
but they're not going to know
like for
most of these
instance,
people. They're not going to know
I
Justin
think a
Bieber
They're
and
so
thousand
whatever.
years
tall.
from now, if there's 1,000 years from now, the Beatles catalog will still be like this super relevant thing. Like it will never like oh, that'll always be part of humanity. Certain artists, like even Neil Young, oh, he's got some stuff that he put out that is timeless, right? A lot of these one hit wonders, oh yeah, they'll all be forgotten, but there's certain people have attained a certain thing that I think is here to stay. Like, yeah, Beatles are the best example. Yeah, that's not going anywhere, right? Like like even a person 5 generations from now, so a young person getting into music's going to explore the Beatles, right? As like part of their,
You'd assume, yeah.
you know,
But
and
you never
Elvis,
know what will
and,
survive. It might be
like,
fucking Usher and Post Malone. You know what I mean?
and when it comes to reggae, it's like, oh well, Bob Marley, pretty much that library is always going to be part. Like, I even think I've had conversations where yes, certain artists have like a library of songs that even if they pass on, that the music will continue on. Like the Dead is that way. Like eventually there won't be any members of the Dead, but there'll still be Dead shows. And
royalties.
right, just like with the Beatles, there's all the cover Beatle things. Some of those are super popular and have been going on selling out for forever. I guess one of the best ones is from Australia, or no, Pink Floyd. The one like the best Pink Floyd cover is this one from Australia. Pink Floyd's another example. Like, yeah, that music will go on forever, like you hope. Like, yeah, that's why these companies pay these astronomical amounts of money for them. Like the biggest way to make money on a song is if like a major corporation uses your song
Concerts.
in a commercial.
Hmm.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
That was the big deal. Led Zeppelin finally sold their catalog to Cadillac, I think it was a bunch of years ago. So they had fucking Led Zeppelin songs on Cadillac commercials. It
Well,
was so
but there
funny.
are certain commercials where that song is that's this the perfect song. It's like that those images or that the visual
Oh,
when
Like a Rock by Bob Seger is the perfect song for a
yeah,
GM.
yeah. Like ultimately you want to get rich, write a song that ends up in that category, and that's the big money right there.
Yep.
The
Every time it plays
most
on
artists,
TV or the radio
a lot of the
station, you
money
get paid.
isn't realized until past their death. Like that's a lot of that's like even if you listen to Neil Young's interview when he explains why he sold the rights to his stuff, he's
I'm
he's
old.
like I'm here now. Like I know like he I forget how he says it, but he's no longer burdened by money. Like even when he says whether he's gonna
You
make
know
a
how much
new
Neil Young
record.
gets paid to make a performance, to step on a stage? I bet he gets paid $1 million just to step on a stage.
No, that's the going rate.
No.
Somewhere around 700 to $1 million is well, you know how much Taylor Swift makes for stepping on her stage?
Uh,
12
15,
million
20.
dollars is her average in 2023.
Mm.
That's not her production company's profits from merchandise and all the other
That's
stuff.
her
That's
pay.
that's her performance charge. She took it to a new level. Like Beyonce had got to $1 million. The Rolling Stones for years have gotten about $1 million each when they do a show, right? Uh now, yeah,
what do you think?
Taylor
Neil
Swift
Young starts at 2 million to 2.5 million is his
yeah, like that's
booking
per
fee.
night. That's why they go on these world tours that last for years because oh, how do you like and why they play into their 70s and 80s? Like, how do you say no to that kind of money? Like for 3 hours of
Stupid money.
enjoy.
It's
It's
yeah, stupid money. That's what it is.
yeah. Like even though they already have enough money to be set,
Yeah.
oh, how do you say no to that kind of money? You know?
Neil
What do
Young
you what?
charges 35, 3.5 million in Las Vegas if you want to book
Yeah,
him there.
like just because the dad are doing the spear uh, with the GA uh, uh, configuration, it's 21,300 per night tickets, and there's 24 shows. That equals 520,000 tickets for the 3 months, and the average ticket price for the spears probably $400. So 400 times a half a million. That's the take. Oh, that doesn't count merchandise, all the other stuff. That's just the ticket money. Oh, that's that. I
Now,
forget. Somebody could probably do the math, but that's a lot of millions of dollars. And really, music people can thank sports people because the this kind of money really got started when sports people started asking for these. Like sometimes you hear a contract for a baseball pitcher or basketball, any quarterback. Oh, fucking beyond. Like you're thinking, oh, you just play X amount of games a year and you get paid this amount. But the logic behind that is, oh, people pay to come see me play. Give me my share of that money, right? Like that's and mainly all the changes where artists are getting these higher fees started with sports. They were the first people to start demanding to get astronomical like
Bill and
contract.
Hillary Clinton make like 5.7 million for at least 39 speeches, where
Well,
it's just like in at banks and shit.
you can't not.
Boardroom.
Okay, like if somebody's willing to give you the fucking money, let's go. I mean, I don't, I no problem with that. Like, isn't that capitalism at its finest? Like,
nobody.
I think oh, the game's crooked and corrupt, but I don't hate I don't hate on somebody like even Berner's an example. He's a complete to me a fraud, a scam, or whatever. Oh, if I give him credit, to like to tip my hat to the guy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
He's
like
got a hustle. He
he,
plays it well.
he's in Forbes magazine. They say he's worth $1 billion. Okay, and he doesn't like. What does he actually do?
He ain't that good of a rapper, that's for sure.
In my opinion, no. But all right, I like. Okay, I don't personally. He doesn't appeal to me personally, but like
I
I
dislike the fakery of all this stuff, and I don't respect that hustle, I have to be honest, because that hustle fucks everyone else's hustle. You know,
yeah,
like a guy like him, I don't know him personally. He might be the best guy in the fucking world, but people like him end up basically making it incredibly difficult for anyone who's not like him to get ahead. And so, someone who isn't fake, who is, for example, a better breeder, a better grower, a better selector of plants, a better namer of plants, you name it, whatever it is that he's supposed to be doing, I'm sure there are plenty of those kinds of people, but because they weren't in the right place at the right time or whatever, they'll never get to that kind of Forbes cover and everything else. People like that,
like
the first mover basically gets all the money, no matter how good they are, and it's a dumb part of the
the
capitalistic
first
system, and
the
it's built on exploitation. It's not built on anything good. I don't respect that
first
hustle.
couple lawsuits against
Taylor Swift only makes
him
200,000.
and the whole cookie operation. Oh, there was news in the cannabis community. Uh, there was post just last week. Another and in the outfit that's suing him isn't just a breeder that had like Seed Junkie. It's a big other cannabis company that is got a lot of money and stock value and all that. I think that case got filed in Orange County for whatever reason. Oh, but they're suing him and accusing him of basically fraud, breach of contract. Oh, hundreds of millions of dollars they're saying they lost due to this. And uh, yeah, that's a sign of like what's really behind the guy because oh he has that company forget him oh has a lot of serious lawsuits with serious accusations of basically ripping people off,
Hmm.
taking your genetics, promising you all this stuff
I'm
and
on.
then fucking you up the ass and there's nothing. Well, you can go to
Certainly
court.
a plausible story, right? I can't, obviously, especially for legal reasons, take a side on this show. This is an opinion-based show. We don't know the facts of the case in any way. But how do I put this? Like, it's plausible, right? How many times have you seen some big motherfucker who thinks he's going to be worth a ton of money jumping all over everybody's head? That's how Zuckerberg, he's the fourth richest guy in the world now. He pretty much stole Facebook. That's been pretty well acknowledged, even in fucking movies and everything else. But it doesn't matter because he just kind of stormed ahead and did it. It was even built on kind of horrific premises, you know, like if people knew that it was basically a site essentially to nail Harvard chicks, basically, like they were trying to find easy chicks to bang, people in a lot of cases would probably stop using Facebook, right? Or at least would use it less, but no, it's not part of the narrative. He just basically forged ahead. What am I trying to say? I guess that's what I was
And
trying to say.
he's just one big example. Like that's part of the world we live in.
Yeah.
That's there's like Berner's just it's not like he invented what he's doing in other
Nope.
industries business that's been going on for a lot of years. He just copied it and brought it in and worked that game in cannabis and
Ray
see
Kroc, he became
The
the
biggest
biggest
marijuana
name in
company in
burgers, and
America
go
right
ahead.
now is the Green Thumb Industries.
Mhm.
That started where a Jim Beam, a guy who's the heir to Jim Beam, this rich guy. Um, he owns. So there was a guy that was a grower in fucking in Chicago, and then he moved up to Michigan and grew there when it was first legal. And he had a green thumb tattoo on his forearm and shit. And he was looking. He wanted an investor to fucking help him start a fucking Green Thumb Industries, like his company. And then Green Thumb Industries fucking or so this Tim Koval is the rich guy. He fucking just like stole his IP and shit like for like a
Yeah.
month or like strung him along for a while and had him show him the ropes, and tell him how to get shit set up. like
They just fired
hook
him.
him up with seeds and that type of shit. And then right when it was time to hit go, they kicked him out of the company. But
Well,
the funny
That's
thing
why
is,
you have
so
contracts.
the
I
guy
think
No, that doesn't mean shit.
the
Honestly,
guy that
Captain,
happened to,
they can rip up contracts if they have enough lawyers.
so they stole his company name, right? Green Thumb Industries, and
Mm.
it's still named that till this day. It's like worth like $5 billion, something like that. But they fucking the guy sued him like, and think the rich guy offered to pay him like settle out of court for like $200,000 or something like that, and the guy said no, and it's been a court case for like fucking 5 years or something like that now.
And unfortunately, the rich guy has the money to have lawyers on staff, not even
Well,
on
see the
retainer,
other
but
thing
on
too, like
fucking
so,
staff at Green Thumb.
like I think it's one of the Chicago newspapers. They they call him a scraggly pot farmer or something like that is what they one of their things. But in reality, his grandma was Carrie Neiman. He's named after his grandma Carrie Neiman,
Hmm.
of Neiman Marcus. So
Hmm.
it's not like he's a little guy either. But
Hmm.
because the same thing
I
happened to me.
imagine
Like
the
they
world
stole
at
my fucking company name. Fucking
the world
that's
at the
crazy.
top.
Hmm.
It's like, the big fish eat the little fish. So yeah, there's a lot of millionaires trying to become billionaires, but the ultimate hurdle you got to get over to become a billionaire yourself is the billionaires. That club that are the billionaires. They're the big sharks that are preying on the millionaires. Oh, they're preying on us too. Like
Hmm.
by they're squeezing us every which way they can. But there's a pool of bigger money, the millionaires that are desperate to become a billionaire, and they're easy targets for a billionaire to make moves on. And I imagine once you become that guy with a few hundred million and you're trying to break the billion, you got to get through
Well,
you
this
got to
Carrie
get through
Neiman,
They don't care about those people at
he's
all.
got
I have to be
connections.
honest. No, I don't even want to entertain the conversation because frankly, I don't give a shit about the exploits of 100 millionaires and billionaires. They can all go fucking get shot into the sun. Fuck them all. That's more money than any one of us could spend in a lifetime. It's enough. When you actually look at your life and realize how long you have to live, there's a certain amount of money that you could realistically fucking spend in a goddamn lifetime if you gave all your money to your friends too. And there are some people who have more money than that and want more. They can fuck themselves with hammers. I give a shit about those people. And I'm tired of talking about those people, to be honest. Every single fucking show, we talk about billionaires, billionaires, billionaires. They can get fucked to the sun. Fuck them all. Enough. What do they have? What does that have in relevance to our lives? Fucking what billionaires' concerns are. They can motherfuck themselves. Seriously. Enough.
I actually talked to Carrie Neiman, and like he agreed to do an interview with me if his case won and mine didn't go to court by that time. But that was a while ago,
Mm.
and
Why
his shit's
is
still there.
Green Thumb Industry stock falling?
I just like to say if there's any millionaires watching, Allah takes $1 million off your hands.
Seriously.
I can use it. I can definitely use
Right.
I only need 150K.
it.
Oh, it's just so sad that there are so many of these fuck faces in cannabis.
But this guy,
A lot of them, they call
he
him
runs.
Trustafarians. I guess you'd call this Neiman guy. He looks it, honestly. He's got expensive tattoos. Look at it. Expensive tattoos are a sign of wealth, right? Like people forget that. A lot of times when you see, especially a very young person with expensive
That's
tattoos, it's a good sign that they didn't fucking get them for free somewhere. Or maybe they did get them for free. Maybe that's a tip. But what am I trying to say? I can't remember what I was going to say. I was going to say something.
He runs
who
a
was that time show?
dispensary out in the north in like the Monterey Bay, I think, called Kosher Kush. No, what am I trying to say?
I mean,
Mazel
Green Thumb
Tov
Industries
Farm.
was a great name. Fuck. No wonder they stole it from him. God damn. Anyway,
1 minute warning, everybody.
it was quick.
That's what she said.
Anybody ever smoked flower or grown a strain called Seven Sins?
Mm-mm.
It's weird. Sometimes
Negatory.
I over the years, someone gives me rosin called, okay, it's this strain or that strain. Most of the strains I kind of, familiar with. Every once in a while, there's like a strain. This one's really good, and it's called Seven Sins. I, I know it's a
So it's
alcohol.
got gluttony, sloth, wrath,
Lust,
what else?
envy,
Right?
pride.
So in other words, it's basically a cookies in
Ross.
cross. That's pretty much what it is.
Like, hey, however it happened,
No.
like it is kind of a weird thing when you do genetic, like how
My
cookie
camera.
like strains that somehow cookies is taking credit for, or whatever, are like crossed into so many things, like in such a short, like 10 years,
Mm.
like, and none of them, like, they were all pretty good, like, okay, but to have so much of the genetic pool influenced by one thing, it's like, I
Yeah.
guess
Enough
hype
hype train
and,
following.
yeah, like,
But that helped to build their brand, having their
Yes.
accidental genetics, because I think most people that basically know breeding would realize that they're probably accidental genetics and not intentionally bred. And it would be nice if they would admit that, but I guess they can't for whatever investment reasons. But how do I put this? It really helped build their brand that basically all around the world, not just around the Bay Area or anything else, that their hype genetics basically got spread into everything. And when you think about it, cookies is nice, but honestly, it's just one of the profiles in cannabis that breeds true. There's plenty of other ones that do too. Trainwreck and a bunch of other ones breed really true. Uh, Cookies just was that particular thing that scratched a bunch of people's itches, and it was kind of a good party weed and everything else, and so just took over the freaking world. I think that's one of the. I think it's an underappreciated version of the part of the story rather that built that brand. But I could be wrong.
I think it was one of the first strains that really brought terpenes to the forefront of cannabis now.
Hmm.
You know, we had THC numbers running it for a while, and then all of a sudden you get runts, and runts is everything runts is really fruity flavor. It's a
Hmm.
sesquiterpene, so that runs throughout the whole joint. And I think that's where the start of the terpene thing came around, is kind of
Well,
around
man,
that time
Subcool
with
was doing
runts.
freaking really flavorful weed a long, long time ago, right? Like, name a TGA strain that doesn't basically burn flavorfully until the end of the joint. Um, I mean,
and
that's a
like,
fair theory. Honestly, I'm not going to knock it. Go ahead.
like the cookie thing is so far away from what I consider cookies, which was like what we can call thin mint in the form cut, and that, okay, that was like cookies. That the over these 10 years, things that are associated with that are so far from
That's
having
true. Yeah.
any,
What's their brand identity? Like
right.
grape gas and cheetah piss? Like, what does that have to do with
And,
anything?
and even though it wasn't as refined, that genetic pool, that dank weed, oh, in the late 80s, oh, I tasted weed like that. There were a batch or two that came along. They scored some weed that was like, so when I first smoked Girl Scout Farm and Thin Mint in like 2012 or 13, oh, it was killer and all that. I had tasted that before. Like, oh, not quite as refined. Do you know what I mean? But that genetic pool, or that lineage, that work already was happening way before
Mhm.
2000 something. Like, they just grabbed a hold of it and took claim to it. But
Mhm.
that was already work that was, I tasted that before. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That cookie taste wasn't as refined, definitely, but the the genetic pool that it came out of was already on the scene.
Mhm.
see I think if we really, a lot of them are old and didn't really come out of the closet when things changed.
Mm.
But there were a lot of people during the Prohibition era that spent a lot of years improving the strain they were growing, right? And then at a certain point got handed off in the 90s, and other people uncovered it and took claim to it and
Mm.
made it like a brand or an identity. But oh, there were a lot of years and a story of people that that were working that, like, cause like back then, like people had a strain, that was it, that was what they worked year after year after year. They weren't like, oh, what are we going to grow this year, there's 20 new kinds. No, they and those are the people that really did the work, that brought a lot of this cannabis to this point we are now. They don't get much credit, or
Mm.
most of their stories aren't even out there. Like, to me, it's always weird. It seems like everything was found in 1991. You know what I mean? Like, oh, of course, ChemDog, but there's a bunch of other origin stories that, like,
I was
yeah,
just gonna say, you
91.
know, the chem dog guy just literally got some seeds, some seeded bud. Like, how is it possible that the people that grew that weed didn't somehow work those lines? I don't know.
They
Maybe they
didn't.
did, but they didn't want to get arrested, so
They
they
did.
kept to themselves, right? Yeah.
But I got the one thing when I heard ChemDog do a long form interview, because like, oh, I was the generation before him as a deadhead, so everything he was saying, I lived that life. He was like 17 years old, right? And just, had only been a weed, adult or whatever, smoking for a couple years.
Mm.
He had the wherewithal. It was only 13 seeds, and he saved them
Right
for
on,
years
hardcore.
before he did anything. Yeah, 17. Oh, today a 17-year-old would be much more wise about value of cannabis seeds and genetics. But in 91, oh, not so much. Not
Mm.
so much.
No.
Right. And yeah, like, oh, there were a lot of people that had access to that weed,
Mm.
pea bud, right? And there were seeds. Oh, he was the one that, like, at 17, that's a pretty amazing part of the story to
Mm.
me. Because, oh, I was 17, I barely knew anything about weed. Yeah, I never thought to, like, save seeds. I wish
I
I did.
did. Always from the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't.
If I thought it was good brick back in like 85, 86, I'd keep the seeds.
Like a lot of it,
But
when I look back and go, well, wait, first off, ju just having anything, a stem, a seed, or weed,
Mm.
eh, eh, like, at that era, oh, you'd be arrested. Like when I was traveling out on tour, like, oh, would would you keep some seeds and put it in your backpack? Oh, you'd be worried about the little bit of weed you were trying to have, right? Um, Seeds were like, yeah, that was like a bust. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I guess once you got them home and could save them, but like a lot of times when I was like, a seed popped out of a bag that I got at somewhere along the way. Oh, a lot of the thought process of why I wasn't like, oh, I better save that seed was, oh yeah, if you got searched and they found a seed, they'd arrest you for it.
well,
That's a good one.
also, but let's put this into perspective too. I'm sure you had a lot worse things on you than a seed. So why
Yeah,
have a seed lead
yeah,
to
that was it.
search?
That's exactly it. Like, it was like, that's why at that time I and the person I worked for, oh, we traveled and did things a certain way to say, to do what we were doing. And yeah, having a seed. But I remember at that time, like my dad, who did collect seeds, he sold Oaxacan weed for years. He would have film containers just full, perfect, the biggest, healthiest tigers, right? From different batches of Oaxacan. Yeah, I don't know what ever became of those, but I remember as a kid in this cupboard he had like dozens of film containers of Oaxacan seeds. Well, maybe
Hmm.
some other seeds. It wasn't like he just sold Oaxacan, but for the most part, as a kid, I remember my it wasn't bales of weed. It was like bundles, it was spears,
Hmm.
like like it somehow got into the country as just like a bundle
Hmm.
of like 4 foot spears. Like the stem, everything was still there.
That's funny.
That's why they called it Oaxacan spears. But
But
those seeds, it turns out when you look at some of the lineage where you go back to like the 70s and 80s when Oaxacan had a role. Some of those Oaxacan different Mexican seeds, along
Hmm.
with Thai seeds, along with got
Oh,
crossed
Oaxacan is
with
wonderful. Yeah.
different things, and that's the building blocks of where we are today, right? I mean, I think there's some people trying to go
Oaxacan's where a bunch of the earthy, sweaty shit comes from that you get in a lot of different weeds these days, I'm convinced.
I mean, a lot of why we don't have like real good documentation and things are all the way they are, it's because of prohibition during that same period. So like today with the thing, I imagine there's some cannabis breeders that have sourced what they think are the land races and are trying to rebuild the path those 20, 30 years that we don't really know that much about who did what, right? Oh, we know some things, but not that much, really, right? A lot of it's
well,
folklore. You know what I
I'm
mean?
coming I'm coming back from Thailand with some berries, flavors, mango, uh lemon, lime, banana, pineapple. So I've got those all in Thai genetics that I'm bringing back. So now with the pineapple, someone got a really good Afghani. We'll have something like pineapple chunk again.
Yeah, I
We get
mean,
somebody from South America, Colombia, Mexico
here's
that
what
has some of that
I think that
Moroccan still,
the
cross
thing
it
that
with that Thai,
the
that
thing about
Afghan.
the two different eras is okay. So when all this was originally done in the 70s, 80s, whatever, it was a process that took many years. Most of it was outside. Indoor growing wasn't even such a thing. So there was a seasonal thing, like once a year. So they could only make so much progress a year, right? So a lot of these strains that that were these building blocks today, oh, a 10-year project, a 6-year project, or putting that much time, like, you know, selecting, get rid of the intersects, all the things that happened to get it to the point it is now, like the early day work, taking, the real walking and the old Thai, ones that, yeah, are a long way away from being like yield worthy, cosmetic looking worthy, taste, but if someone started to do the work, oh, they could redo that work in a more like documented and oh, it wouldn't take as many
Much more
years.
efficient way now, because back then we were only able to get one harvest in.
But
Now we know
easy.
how to grow indoors, and now we can actually take two strains, cross them together, grow them out for that 150-day flowering time, give the seeds 40, 50 days to dry out, and then get another run in.
Well, I'm sure
of
somebody like
150.
inherited like their grandfathers or dads, like just like I was saying, my dad had all these seeds in film containers from so many years ago, right? Oh, I don't know what happened. They didn't, we didn't save them or whatever. But oh, I know other families or other people did. And like
Well,
that's where you'd have to start because a lot of times when like, oh, there's Panama red, there's this, I half the time I'm not even sure like yeah we've named something along the way but that's not really what it is, you know what I mean, like there's a lot of folklore, you know what I mean, at least that's what I call it, maybe it's bullshit but folklore, uh, a lot of the weed origin stories, more folklore than facts, that's the way I'd put it.
there's a group that I talk about in southern Ohio, and it's the two counties that I refer to as like equal to Humboldt and the Emerald Triangle as far as the different type of climates you can get and the people that were there. And there was a group of about 10 people that from like 1972 is when they really started because the majority of them were kicked out of the university right after the Kent State riot. So they were all in the agricultural department. And there was an older hippie that was growing sensimelia for the college students back in 1969 and 70. They joined up with him, and by 1995, the police pressure in that area, they actually all decided to quit growing. And 1995 was the last year they did a seed run. But each of them was responsible for these set of genetics. Now, the guy that lived on our farm just happened to be one of those people. And when I went to talk to him, uh, well, when I went back from Thailand the first time, I found out that the original guy ended up passing away like 3 weeks before I talked to my friend again. And what happened to all of his seeds? He was the original guy that started it all. But I have the seeds that came from our farm in 1995 and his project. His project, the majority of the plants are actually CBD because the harvest was stolen and the people that stole it got their ass beat because they sold it to somebody and it was like you sold us pot that didn't get as high. But I have those seeds and they're like the size of coffee beans. I mean, these are huge
It's a
seeds.
fantasy that as I'm getting this old, I don't think I'll ever experience. But since I was young, I'm really a indica, fat leaf, indica enthusiast. Like that's what I love. And maybe a lot of it's fantasy in my head, but oh, I have this like vision of what it would be in like Hindu Kush Mountains or Afghanistan up in the where generational stuff's been going on and families have been growing those genetics for centuries longer. Yeah, if I could ever go to a place to chase that and 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 even just like some old guy from the mountains that has been cultivating, and his dad taught him to cultivate, and they kept all these different genetics of mainly the indicas or the fat leaf, even though they have different varieties there, I've come to learn. But oh, the strains and the and the like, oh, I think that's the ultimate weed in my book. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, but basically it's because of war. Like, even when I was a teenager,
Thailand's a lot safer.
like I remember Afghanistan was at war with Russians, but people from here could still like go there, right? They're like hippie deadheads used to do these like trips in between tours, and a lot of them would go like on this weird hippie trail through Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, because it was really cheap, right? You could spend a month over there for whatever money. And
Kolkata.
I get, you still go to India, but like, oh, you really can't go up into Afghanistan,
And
American
Pakistan.
and it's been war torn now for whatever amount of years, which, oh, whatever cannabis survived this war has been a miracle because, oh, between all the different things, pressures on it, it's probably been disrupted. The
Well, it's being disrupted right now by the Taliban. If you grow cannabis in Afghanistan, they kill you.
I know they made a Arabic or whatever that if you had to copy if you use any of your land or resources for cannabis, it was they death penalty, whatever, behead.
Yeah, but grow
But,
all the opium you want.
but I know ultimately, oh, even with all those things that happen, oh, people have kept the seeds, kept it going. Where in Thailand, it looks like the prohibition that went on there, yeah, everyone seems to be searching for that old Thai genetics of the past, but it's not like that's, yeah, everyone's looking for it. I don't know. It's not.
The same thing that happened in Thailand happens all over the world. You get a cross pollination. Okay. So the stuff that people talk about 40 years ago, that was gone 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is what's left today. And all we have to do is just, that's one thing about Thai. There's a lot of intersexual traits, but that also tells you that that's pretty much the closest thing you're going to get to like a land race because no one has hunted through those seeds and pulled out those intersexual plants. I mean, the seeds that I have, I'll come out and flat out tell you the majority of the Thai seeds that I have are 30 to 40% intersexual. But you're getting the real Thai heirlooms, and you're not getting the ones from last year that were 70 to 80% intersexual.
Okay.
So,
Well,
I
see that
have hunted it down a little bit.
as far as intersexual traits. So the modern day
Male and
CPAP that
female.
everyone is selling each other, what do you think their percentage of intersex? Probably very low, right? Like
It
when you
has to
say
be low or you
30%,
can't
as a
sell them.
person that like I have no breeding ambition at all, just growing seedless weed. That's a
Yeah.
hard no. Like, oh, I don't have any time or desire to go through populations with that amount of risk of the intersex. Oh, one thing is a little hermy or what. Oh, intersex is a whole other level of genetic. You know what I mean? Like,
But it can be worked out.
yeah, but that takes time, right? So, like that's
A
like
year.
earlier when I was saying, oh, the previous generation that that handed off the genetics that has become more the modern genetics. Oh, those guys spent a lot of time because they did this work. They did the work. Oh, especially when you start crossing things from one continent to another, crazy different weeds. Oh, you had to stabilize them. You had to spend time to select, like to develop it. Like now, oh, it's a lot of the hard work has already been done, right? The
I
risk.
had I had companies approach me about making seeds for them. And this was when medical came around. And they were looking for a CBD that they could grow here in Thailand outdoors. And I basically told them, well, if we start today, I could probably have it done in 3 to 4 years. And they were looking for something that, oh, it should be able to, go through one harvest and be there. No, it takes time to get everything together. And when you're using a Thai strain and trying to get CBD into it, you're talking about a 120-day plant, 160-day plant. So you are limited to basically 3 crops a year if you're at 120 and 2 crops a year at 160 days.
Yeah, well, in today's cannabis, even from a home grower up, that's not a viable uh, flowering time. No,
No,
no, no. There's some outliers. Somebody wants, but no, that like I remember strains that were 100 some days, 120.
120.
The like all the things that can go wrong. Now you just like doubled the amount of time, and then to keep a plant healthy and thriving, and the soil, everything for that amount of time is a whole different. Yeah, the risk just goes up every day, whether it's
And
bugs,
lot
this,
of it,
that, the other.
I think a lot of it was our knowledge too. Like today, we're not going to put 150, 160-day flowering plant in a 5 gallon bucket. We're going to give it 50, 60, 100 gallons to grow because now we understand more about the root growth,
I think
and the root size gives you bud size.
any strain that is in that what you're talking about isn't is an outdoor strain. Period. Like like uh Thai.
Yeah,
Not only the flowering time. Oh, these are plants that stretch beyond what a indoor uh, grow can deal with, right? Um, so yeah. Oh, but their genetic crossed and decades of being refined into other strains. Oh, that's where their influence is. But like, yeah, I think like I vision like, oh, 120-day crop is more of the kind of thing you plant and you come back in so many months and hope that there's some weed in the patch. Like you just let it be on its own and you know, like hope for the
see,
best.
that's why I want to find a real old OG, because I've got Thai crossed with an older OG, and it's sitting right around 100 to 110 days. But that's the one that has the pineapple and banana terps to it. Now, for some reason, the seeds that we have that were made when the plant gets to be about 4.5 feet tall, 5 feet tall, it starts to auto flower. It starts to go into flowering. At least here in Thailand. And we've ran it indoor and outdoor with big pots and small pots. And we've ran it with white light and then a light that had far red to it. And it did the same thing. But I'd like to, grab that OG you have. And yeah, it'd take a little bit of work because I don't have a male of it. But if I could get male of a good OG, then that would definitely help me out.
When the OGs
But
came to
I
the
think it
scene,
needs another cross or two to get it down to that 60, 65 day mark.
from what I kind of remember, when the OGs became a thing, I don't think there is males of it. Like, I think like truly that was like a clone only strain. Like, oh, now people revert
Yeah,
to people have developed things, but
BXs.
like, yeah, it wasn't like, oh, there were clones of OG. That's how you got a hold of OG. There was nobody that said, oh, here's seeds of OG back when, like, 15 years ago or longer, whenever the OG became a, I'm in SoCal. Oh, there was a time when like SoCal was like known that like 80% of the market was OG. There was like OG snobs. They wouldn't smoke anything but OG, right? Um, for a few years, it was like a thing, right? It was during 215 era, and like, oh, there were shops that, like 3/4 of the things they had on the shelf were all OGs because all their customers were OG snobs.
So it'd just take me a little bit more work, and I'll take the Thai seeds that I have. I'll take an open pollination from a bunch of different looking males. I'll hit it back to the OG and
And
then go through all those seeds that are made there and find one that leans all the way towards the OG side.
yeah, well, the
And
OG
then I'll
that I
grab the
had,
original seeds again and start the whole process with that.
my partner got it from somebody, but couldn't give it to anybody, even me, who was his fucking partner. And we lived together in 97. But 99, oh, okay, I've had it. And it was a really exquisite OG. I remember in my fantasy, because like back then we didn't have any, oh, it was that. We didn't know where it came from, anything. That wasn't like that. Um, I remember smoking that and different batches of it and always visualizing or thinking that, oh, this has been layered. This wasn't as simple as like one cross into another created this. This was somebody's work for many years, probably by the 90s when we were like, ooh, somebody had been working some project that created that probably for 20, 30 years. And layered, yeah, it had things of everything. Oh, it reminded me of the stone, and something of Thai was like part of it. Like a lot of things were part of it. That's what I think. I don't think it's as simple as, oh, you took this and you took this and it created this. No, that was like someone's project where they layered and they like, because there's a lot, like good OGs are dynamic that way. It's complex. It's not as simple as like, oh, it's pineapple, banana, or what. No, it's I don't even know how you describe
No,
it.
the closest OG that I've ever really, well, okay, I guess I've grown a couple. I had that Cali Sour OG that was pretty close to at least the sour versions of the OG. And then I actually had Alien Rift funny that I'd never really talk about Ocean Grown because I don't really like them as a company these days. But once upon a time, they had some excellent genetics, and Alien Rift was one of them. That Alien Rift, literally, they came out like clones, basically. So I remember I had two favorites that I really liked, and they were like fucking identical clones. But every single seed that I planted, I was really lucky with, I think, one pack of seeds, and I got basically all females, and they were literally fucking clones of each other, just slightly different. They had a little bit different flavor, a little bit different color, something. And both of them had distinctly four, five, six different notes on flavor. They were really, really complex. And I remember apologizing because I was still a relatively new grower at the time. I remember apologizing to people I'd hand these nugs to. I knew they were dank as fuck, but I kept thinking like, man, this burning rubber smell is weird. Like people are going to think I sprayed it with something. So I kept apologizing for the burning rubber. But, later on, of course, I realized that burning rubber is fucking amazing in
A
cannabis.
good
But
thing.
anyway, sure enough, they had burning rubber, lemon, pine, and something else that I don't remember. And all of them were really distinct aromas, like really good breeding, honestly, or at least complex interweaving, at least.
And yeah, OG has a like, oh, you want to be stoned? You want to be stoned? Then it's like, yep, OG. Like, even if it's scrawny, then like it's a finicky plant. So to get it
Mm,
always perfect isn't always the uh, the way it goes. But even scraps of that shit is fucking fire. It's
mm,
it's weird. Like yeah, but that shit is yeah, but like I say, it's a finicky plant. It grows. It's yeah. I for production into people would love to have sacks of OG, but from a grower's perspective, I the things that are popular and being grown a lot of, I understand why. Like like even that I'm not part of metric and all that, but I can imagine there that the pressure even goes up of like, what's expected in what time frame, labor, and finicky. Some strains, some of the bombest strains, yeah, they're finicky. And even OG, I grew a lot of it for a lot of years. If I had like a blip in the third week of veg or in veg, that would like other strains. Oh, okay, you had a bad day. Oh, it recovered. And now you turn it back. No problem. Oh no, OG was like a little problem somewhere along the way. That batch wasn't as good as it could be. Everything had to be perfect the whole way,
mm.
even in veg. Yeah, it was finicky. That's why a lot of people didn't grow it. And
Yeah.
it still is. Like I still have it. Like, yeah. Well, we had one spot that like it was only a mile from my place, but however it was set up, it just rocked there, numbers wise, everything. And then that's my partner's other spot. And then he got the bigger operation thing going. Yeah, and we're not idiots. Oh, we fucked with it for a few years, trying to get the environment, whatever. Yeah, but I've given the strain to other people, and then it's not that the genetics drifted or nothing. Nope, it's fine. But like, yeah, it's weird. Like you think you learn how to ride a bike, you can just always ride it. It's not always that way with cannabis.
No.
And a lot of what
No, it's not.
in that current pool, yeah, like how they're bulletproof. Like that's an important part of the genetics uh, being popular or being used, or a lot of cannabis are like bulletproof. Like I remember even when I helped new people, I'd be like, yeah, you should start with this strain or this strain because you can't fuck them up. Don't start with OG or this or that. Those are finicky, right? That's it. That's how I've always described it. And yeah, some strains are like bulletproof. You pretty much can't fuck them up. I mean,
Yeah.
within reason. You know what I mean?
I think Blue Dream is that way. I think Blue Dream is a real easy strain to grow. Afghani 1 was a really easy strain to grow.
Blue Dream's awesome.
Northern Lights.
That do the thing where they totally saturate the market. A lot of those are bulletproof strains. That's one of the reasons that happens. Everyone starts growing it because it's you know. And today, due to all the years of selection, yeah, most things aren't that finicky. Years
And here in Thailand, they were looking in the beginning for feminized autos. But now that they're learning how to grow, they're branching off. But in the beginning, they wanted something that was female and would give them flower no matter what within X amount of days.
Let me interrupt, ladies and germs. Would you like to the panel rather? Would you guys like to continue the show, or would you like to cut the show here shortly? Because I have some things to do. I can hand the show off to you guys, or we can basically wrap it up. What do you want to do?
I'm taking off shortly. I gotta go get some food.
Righty.
I'm hungry, and I gotta go get some groceries.
Bon appetit. Right on, D. What about the rest of you guys?
I'll go with
I'm
whatever
up.
the consensus is.
I got
All right,
about
keep
a
talking.
half
More
hour
of you.
drive back home, so I can hang for about a half hour, guys.
All right. Who wants to be host?
I will.
Right on.
Yeah.
Boom. Captain 420 is
Thank
the
you.
host. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to him, or he will probably ban you or something, or do something very bad to your shoes or something. I don't know. But in the meantime, thanks folks for hanging. I really appreciate it. I can't tell you about my website, obviously, or the fuckers that watch this show obsessively, more than you do, probably obsessively. They will fucking ban the show. They'll get the show banned, rather. So I can't tell you about my website, but I guess imagine that I have a website online. Imagine that it has things on there that you might enjoy. Go there if you can, telepathically. Obviously, I'm not crazy. I'm not making that up. I do actually have a website. If you're like, what the fuck is Fyodor talking about? I just can't say it right now. I don't know. I have to figure out some way to be able to talk about my website and stuff without getting my show fucking reported by a couple of trolls. So, ladies and germs, I guess that's it. And I'll catch you next time. D, are you doing a takeover on Saturday?
Yes, sir.
Right
10
on.
o'clock Eastern
God damn,
Standard Time, 7 o'clock Pacific.
I guess there's been a lot going on in my life, but fuck, it feels like just yesterday was fucking the last takeover. It's like, fuck, it's a takeover again. Anyway, ladies and germs, don't forget to watch D's takeover this Saturday. And of course, subscribe to D's channel. What is your channel, by the way, D?
I'm sorry.
Oh, your channel. Tell everybody what your channel is.
Oh, my channel is, you can find me on G Zombie _ 745 on YouTube.
That's the
Like,
way.
subscribe, and hit the bell, just like this channel here. Like,
Exactly
hit
right.
the bell, and subscribe.
And I say that because D does pre-parties or pre-shows basically, and I probably sometimes post shows and so on. So, ladies and germs, feel free to or make sure to subscribe to D's channel because that way you get the full enjoyment of the freaking enjoyment. So, anyway, I'm gonna hand it off to the rest of you guys. I'm gonna take off. Have a good day, everybody. Have a good day, D, and everybody else in the panel. Bud, Hardcore, Captain 420, of course, the Fish Fan. Good to see you, and everyone in the chat. Later, Gators, and mayonnaise covered taters. Adios.
Put 'em.
Yeah. Wait. Is this year a leap year? No. So today, 28th, is the last day of the month.
Tomorrow.
Yep.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
It's
Leap
my
year.
Tomorrow.
birthday. Actually,
Wait.
tomorrow. Who's 8 years old.
7th? No, today's the 28th.
Tomorrow's 29th, last day of the month.
Oh, okay. So it's leap years. Like some years,
Yeah.
February's 28 days. Some years 29. So all right.
Yeah, exactly. It's my buddy's birthday tomorrow. He'll be 8 years
That's a
old.
bummer because
But he's actually 30 something.
usually when Billy Strings is doing a tour, he has a night off here and there. But this tour, it's like 3 nights and then a few nights off and then 3 nights. And now it's been a few nights off. until the last two. Fuck.
Been
I
great.
thought
I've hit every show but the Ryman. I couldn't get tickets to the Ryman.
well, I think the second night in Nashville was like off, even though the first night with Bella on banjo, not too many
Yeah,
people can outlick Billy. Oh, I fucking Bella fucking was slick, man. He had some licks
sure was.
and
Bella Fleck is awesome.
uh but then
Yes.
the next night, and oh, even there's this kid named Miles Gee. He's only like,
Miles Gee.
yeah, he's like
10.
12 years old. He's 12 from like Alabama or something. He's legit. Yeah.
Bill Fleck's got a documentary where he went to Africa and like played with all these tribes and shit. And like,
Yeah.
what was it called?
Bella does a lot of different well, he's taken the banjo and shown that it can be played like as an instrument in so many different styles of music.
I remember
That's
seeing him and Victor Wooten on and the Flecktones or whatever on like
Flecktone. Yep.
Nashville fucking. I don't know. It was on PBS on some fucking thing on there. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
like one of
Good
the
awesome.
stuff.
top like living bass players. Like Victor Wooten is cutting
His
edge.
whole family is musically talented.
Yeah, they have a band. They do shows together.
I
But
know
Victor,
they were
one
over at
that's
our
like,
house. They had to come get them for second set because we have a whole setup in the living room. So they were playing in the living room, smoking pot for like 45-minute set break.
well, I think D left, but like I started catching some of this music a couple years ago. I didn't even really realize, but he's Canadian. This guy named Corey Wong, right? And he puts
Never
together,
heard of
he has his band. It's like a big band. It's like a review show. But then, oh, one, he likes to interchange bass players. That's how I came across him. Because, oh, Victor Wooten did some shows. Mono did shows. Different, Duck, different people did guest sit-ins with Corey Wong's band. But they're from Canada. I like they I've never gone to a show of his. I think one's coming to San Diego in a few months, but I've watched him on YouTube. That looks like a lot of fun. Like yeah, if you're not hip to Corey Wong,
I've never heard of him.
yeah, like Wong makes it seem like, oh, he's Asian or something. No, he's this Canadian guy, and he plays rhythm. Like he's a band leader, and he has like this super killer eclectic band that have their own talents. And then that's like
Buckethead.
it's like review. It's hard to explain. Like it's soul review. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a feel good show. But he's good, and the musicianship is top quality.
Oh yeah.
You guys listen to Buckethead at all?
A little bit.
Long time ago.
He still puts out fucking an insane amount of music all the time on Natternet on YouTube.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean the bottom line is where the music is at as far as like a music consumer or enthusiast with YouTube and the internet and oh,
Great.
it's like yeah, you can just live inside like the amount of music that comes out. It's like
Yeah.
I've been
I
chasing
couldn't
music
live
since
without
I was a
Nugs.
kid. I would never have imagined we'd be at this kind of place with like streaming shows or just the whole the whole thing of music online or whatever.
Yeah. My Nugs app is the first thing to get renewed every year. It's like automatic pay.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing. But like something I've noticed is like it's not like I'm not. I used to buy certain CDs because that's what you did, right? Like when
Yeah.
certain people came out, like in so many years, I like. It's not that I don't hear it because every album you can find it on YouTube and you can just listen to it there or this website or this. Yeah, it's like I used over my life since I was a teenager, spent money on music. Like, going to concerts, that's one thing. I'm talking about like go to the record store or
Yeah.
whatever, order online. Yeah, it's been years. Even though a couple things came out that in the past, if you wanted it, you better just buy it. Sometimes if I would buy it now, it wouldn't even be to really listen to it because it would be to support them. Like, because yeah, it's just easier to click on YouTube or whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
and the music's there. Usually, it's not like you have to wait 6 months before it's no. If they release, sometimes it's up before they even have it on sale. So I don't know how musicians or people make money. It seems like they're just giving it all away for free at this point.
Both my kids collect records, so they still buy records. Like my youngest son went to a record store and spent $400 on a Fish LP. And the guy
Well,
said he's had it there for like 15 years, you know. I was shocked that he bought it. But
considering
yeah, some people still collect
I
them.
grew up where my parents had records, and then I was like got into cassettes mainly, and then of course there we went through CDs and then hard drive or whatever, all these things.
Yeah.
The fact that records are back, like that it's
Weird.
a
I know.
thing, like I would never have like if you would have asked me, yeah, in year 2024, are you going to believe it that like records have made a comeback and people are buying turntables and collecting vinyl and artists are putting out their stuff on vinyl again? I'd be like,
Uh,
no, that record's never coming back. Sure enough, they came back.
yeah, I don't know why they collect them. The quality
Right
sucks and they
after I
have the same
sold a
streaming.
whole ton of them.
Yeah. I mean, they've got Nugs and the Live Fish app, but they still buy the records. And I'm like, why do you buy the records? I think they just like to collect them and have them. They got the new Billy record a couple months ago. As soon as it came out, you know, I don't know. They just collect them more than
I
anything.
do
Not even
have,
listen to them.
I do have, I do have to say, I do have one, I have two Dead albums. One is a bootleg record, and the other one has Jerry and Brent's autograph on it. But the bootleg I actually have framed up because I think that's a really cool piece of Grateful Dead
The live
history.
show, Captain?
Not a bootleg tape, but a bootleg record.
Record of a live show?
Yep.
Yeah,
And it's a known bootleg. It's
pretty rare.
listed in the record guide.
Last month, when I finally like moved and decided what I was going to put in my Connex and what I was getting rid of in my life, yeah, I have good, maybe a third of them are mine. But then over the years, my one friend that was a way bigger taper than me, um, yeah, he gave me man about 850. They're all in cases marked, all DATs, digital audio tape, all live shows, and probably 95% of them are dead related, but 5% of them are like uh real good quality other music, right? All kinds of stuff, Stevie Ray and different shit, DATs. And I was like, yeah, they've been in these crates. I have DAT players, but the thing about a DAT player is for every hour, like if you put so many hours on the heads, you have to replace the heads. It's no way around it, right? So unless you're maintaining and keeping your DAT players up, yeah, no, they don't really work right. Um, and all those shows, I could go to archive and click, and there's many versions of them, even the soundboards. You can just listen to online every show, right? So I'm like, they're relevant. What am I ever going to do with them, right?
Sentimental value. That's about it,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So
That's
there
it.
they are in a certain part of the fucking Connex where, oh, yep, there's like 8 fucking totes full of these cases of DATs that basically are obsolete, really. I mean, um, a lot of them were mastered off of the cassettes. Like even the DATs that are mine, those were a lot of those were recorded on cassettes. And then when the DAT revolution came around, you'd take your
Transfer.
analog and then you'd digitize it into a DAT. Uh and fuck, we spent years doing that and spending money on the tapes and the tech. And then that became irrelevant when it just basically became, oh, it's just all on a hard drive. Oh, beyond that, I have my hard drive that's got a lot of stuff there too. That is sort of irrelevant space because, like I say, well, if you're not hip to it, there's a thing called archive.org. And it does a lot of different, it's I think it's a college in somewhere, North Carolina or something, that hosts archive.org for many years. There's
Yep.
literature up there, there's science,
Everything.
Films,
but there's like
movies.
there's a thing
Everything.
called live music, right? Oh, and you click on that,
Yep.
and it's just basically bootlegs. Well, no, different bands, different things.
Put up their music.
New
My
artists,
show's up there.
I don't know how much music is on there. It's not like albums. It's none of that. It's all live, like concert. Most of it recorded by people bootlegging or whatever, putting mics up in the show. Um, um, you could spend your whole lifetime and barely scratch the surface there. And it's all organized. You can click on it. Every single Dead show's up there, multiple formats and many other bands.
A
Yeah,
lot of
all
jam
they don't
bands.
ask you for anything. Once a year, they have a fundraiser. They have a little thing if you want to give them a few bucks to keep it going or whatever. Some rich philanthropist. Yeah, it's funded by rich people.
Philanthropist.
Yeah, like that's what started it. It's just host. But oh, I've searched around archive in some of those other folders, not the music one. Oh, there's a lot of cool shit on there.
Yeah, I
Yep.
love archive. I've been going on there for 15, 20 years, man.
Yeah, like even like you say, it's that old. Same here. That is what made collecting the tapes, having all that irrelevant. Like, like it's all right there, and as long as you have internet connection, you know, yeah, you could just play it, and I don't even think like I don't know how many hours in year. I mean, I know it in the Dead alone, it's like they didn't play this many shows, but there's this many recordings of the shows they played. I think they have like 175,000 shows on there, or um, yeah, because there'll be Matrix tapes. That's where somebody's taken the audience tape, like the bootleg, and mixed it with the soundboard tape, and then that's a
Yep.
Matrix. Those are pretty good. Certain
Yeah,
people,
you got to search around on archive to find good
yeah,
quality. I
yeah,
mean, it's hit and
yeah,
miss. Some of it sounds like AM radio, but
yeah,
some
you know,
some of it's
I have
tight.
I I have a show on archive, and for the jam band from Ohio called Acoustic Hookah,
I know.
my show actually got rated the best hookah show ever. not only because it had the longest set list, but it
I
had
made
the most songs in it, and the music, the sound of the music was the highest quality. I had a sound company come in and they dropped mics all over the Cleveland Agora, and they mic'd it all first and then set up what I thought was like a third of the amount of the speakers that they should have. And you could literally be having a cigarette outside and thought you were still in the show.
Was it a theater or something?
Yeah, it was the Agora, Cleveland Agora
I've never
on
been there.
East 55th.
some more of my masters could be on archive, but I know of 3 that whoever
This is my
uploaded it
show.
listed whatever was on their case, and like, oh, they have a first generation copy of an LB master. That's my nickname was LB. And so yeah, and the one is with Bayer M160 mics, which we used to use a lot, and the other was with Sheps. And and
Sheps.
and and,
Yeah.
and yeah, we used to tape, and we even though they had a taper section, usually by the soundboard or behind the soundboard, and if you got caught, you were in trouble. We were like FOBs. That means front of board. So we'd go
Yeah.
like 5th row, 10th row. But like when we had the Sheps are very expensive microphones. I forget that, like thousands and thousands each. We had taken it to this metal worker guy, friend of ours, and he basically used like a laser metal cutter thing and took the capsule out of the microphone. And then my friend's girlfriend was like a sewer, and we had this like sailor hat, right? And like it was like black sailor hat that, because it had a front button, like I don't know, like it had a little bill, and then you had this, but it made this perfect spot where, oh, we had the mic sewn into the hat. And basically Troy, who's my taper buddy, he had long hair, and so like yeah, he'd wear the hat, and and yeah, down his back came the cords,
Yeah.
and oh, they knew us. So like there'd be times like, oh, they'd have binoculars from the stage and be like, oh, next thing you know, they're coming out in the crowd. You'd have to like, you get caught every once in a while. Like it was, you weren't supposed to tape up front, but that's where it sounded the best. And yeah, I was into that till about
You probably know
87.
Z-Man. You know Z-Man?
Yeah, I party with Z-Man all the time.
Yeah, I know Z-Man from some
You
Panic
crazy?
shows, man.
Yeah,
He's a good guy.
Z-Man, he's really good friends with my best friend David. And
Okay.
sometimes they share like Airbnbs and stuff. Yeah. I've and he's
Right
really
on.
into Phil. He goes to all the Phil shows and Terrapin. I've known Z-Man
Yep.
forever.
Yeah, I met
I
him
was
at
friends with
Widespread.
Charlie Miller before I knew that he was remastering all the Dead shows.
Yeah, he lives here in San Diego. Like somehow but he lives in the city. I live way up here. But yeah, like Charlie Miller has done more for the preservation and all the doc music being posted at the highest quality, like the soundboards, the real
Betty
shit.
Cantor,
Yeah, like he,
Lemieux, David Lemieux,
I mean,
all
he
them.
was just a nerdy kid, like out on tour, taper nerd, and yeah, he just stuck with it, and like he's legendary at this point as far as like his contribution to it, archiving it and making it. Well, it is sort of weird that like even the algorithms on Instagram, like if you have dead music, it could be a live show playing in the background. Oh, they'll just kick you off. It triggers the algorithm. But the Dead have always, like, their thing, Jerry said it first, like, once we play it, it's yours. Like,
Yeah.
We're done with it.
like we're done with it, right? And
Yeah.
so, for the most part, Grateful Dead music has always been free like that, right? You didn't collect it. And
Right.
but like it gets back to the earlier conversation. It isn't like the Dead that that or their lawyers or their company that is why the algorithms do that. It's the songwriters, it's the writers union, it's the rights, because when the Dead did certain videos and certain things, Arista and Warner Brothers put them out, right? And then they own the like the song rights to that song or that particular performance that they own. But then, okay, so you can't play that. It shouldn't matter what a live concert version is, right? But
Right.
the algorithm is so sensitive, right? Because here's a band that never played anything the same way twice, but somehow the algorithm can like always quickly pick it up. Where I'm like, yeah, if any music shouldn't be in that algorithm, it should be Grateful Dead music, just on the principle of it. But somehow it turns out it is, like I say, it isn't the Dead, it isn't their lawyers, it's Warner Brothers
record
and
companies.
Arista, and now they're owned by whoever, and yeah, that's just the business of songwrites and stuff. It's the uh, it's the writer. It's that's what it is. Not the song. It's the writing of the songwriter.
Yeah. Do you pick out the dates you're going to be at the Sphere yet?
Yeah, I thanks for reminding me, because I need to send my buddy the dates. I'm requesting tickets for the first three. The ones around June 19th, because my boss's best friend's 50th birthday, and they want to go to those ones. We're going to go to those ones, and then the last three. And then I can always
Can I be like a bum? Because I can't. I to tell you the
Not a
truth,
bummy place,
buddy.
man.
To tell you the truth, I can get out there, but I just can't afford $200 or $350, $400 for a ticket.
I got
there's going to be
tickets
cheaper tickets.
section 104 for the 30th and the 31st, because I have a conference the 29th, the 28th, 29th, and it ends on the 30th. So I'm just extending my trip and flying back after. But I got tickets in 104, and it shows the view. I mean, it looks good. They were $239 a piece.
Yeah, those are basically the 180.
No obstructed view or anything.
Ones with fees. Yeah, I mean, and I was with the manager, Matt Bush.
I'm usually on the floor, but
like, do you know who Matt Bush is? He's like Bobby's manager.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, this is like inside news. Like, but no one knows why. But he's fired. He's no longer. Yeah, after like
no shit.
He goes back to Rat Dog days. He worked for Bobby Brinkley for. No one knows what happened. Like, it had to have been something pretty serious, because he'd been around for so many years, but yeah, he got fired. But I was with him at the Mule Show before this happened, and he was telling me, yeah, don't worry. Like, tell your friends, don't worry about tickets, right? Because he knows the actual sales. Like, don't Live Nation and them, they present you like this picture to make you think that whatever. But that
sold out.
The reality that he knows that, like, for most shows, like, there will be some shows that are more popular than others because they fall on whatever weekend or whatever, coincide with something else. Yeah, tickets aren't going to be like you got to remember it's 21,000. That's I mean that's
Yeah, it's
not a
pretty big.
lot, but that's a good amount. And so like where people think, oh, it won't be like shows where there'll be all these extra tickets and like, oh no, it'll be just like all shows, and there'll be fucking $20 tickets some nights and shit like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
After
don't need,
the first few shows, I think so too. Once
Yeah,
everybody sees it, they see a few webcasts, see what it's all about. It's gonna drop. I mean, I use cash or trade a lot, but I said I
yeah,
gotta buy them now because I gotta plan this fucking trip. So.
yeah. I mean,
well,
you
not
know,
only that, the music is actually going to be structured. So it's not going to be a bunch of improvisational music, I don't think.
well, well,
I don't
yes
see
and
how it
no. I
can't
mean,
though, Captain. It's the Dead, man. I mean, it's the Dead company. It's gonna be improvised.
they already
Yeah,
play.
but it's the
Already rehearsed
spear and what
music.
they're
Meaning,
putting on.
like with since Mayor joined the
Yeah,
band, like improvision. No, they have like a rehearse. They play songs a certain way.
they
What
do. Yeah, they do. All
visuals do is, oh, and most likely
right, listen to J Red.
they'll have their own uh little screen to be able to see it. Is yeah, like let's say trucking. Okay, there's a part in trucking that they need to be at when that visual is comes on. You know what I mean? They have to like you
Yeah,
know like okay, so they just have to be in time. You know, improvising how they
Yeah,
get there is still be Grateful Dead's way of playing. But oh, it's kind of like this. If you've seen the Wolf Brothers, the ones
yeah.
with the symphony, he does some shows with the
Oh,
symphony. Even
oh,
this thing they called the Rat Pack or Wolf Pack, that's the horn section and
yeah,
stuff. Oh, those guys have to like yes, like especially a symphony. Oh no, improvise. That's not how that works. Okay, so okay, let's see it on a chart. Okay, okay. No, no, no. Oh, you want us to come in here? Well, you need to be there then for them to come in there. You know,
yeah.
like
In my
that's
mind, I feel that's why Billy Kay left because when I listen to Billy and the Kid shows, it's all improvisation, man. I mean, it's totally different.
yeah, Mayor. I mean, he's good and all. And oh, if you really
mm,
you can see it from the first few years when Mayor was more like improvising and but then as it
17 and
developed,
18 were good years.
yeah,
17 and
Mayor
18.
is like, oh, he plays parts. That's how he does it. Like
Yeah,
his own show is a very rehearsed, structured thing. That's the
yeah,
world he works in, right? So even though he's capable, like, but to 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 really play like that, then you really got to be on your chops. And oh, Mayor's good enough that oh, if he plays the structured thing, then you know, and like
yeah.
anything, anytime you take those risks, you also take the risk of falling flat, right? So
Right.
yeah, it's
look
like the
at
same thing with
Bobby.
Canada. Like, oh, well, you want to play it safe or you want to like grow some super crazy dank? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bobby fluffed how many songs?
It's a weird thing. I mean, the fact that it's like a tour, but you don't, it's all in the same place. That's weird. And the
Yeah.
other part of it is that it's really only 3 days a week, right?
Yeah.
Like, like it might have been better to do it like 5 days a week and only play for 2 months and do the same amount of shows.
Now, I talked to my friend who teaches at the university, and he's also a deadhead. He's also the person I went to Amsterdam with the first time, and the first person I went to Thailand here with. And he's told me that, hey, you know, you come out, you eat three or five, the Sphere is not someplace that you want to be up and moving because the way that all the lights and everything is set up, it's set up to kind of disorient you.
Great.
Well,
Awesome.
So
Can't wait.
this could make
here's the
people
bottom
get
line.
really sick
Here's the
if they
bottom
take
line.
too much drugs.
Okay, so when you two played there, it was 18,500 because it's all seats.
I'll
Okay.
test that theory, Captain.
And the way the place is designed, the floor seats are down, meaning
Yeah.
if you're in your floor seat sitting, you're
You're
gonna
not.
have to look up to see the show. You're like a pit below. You're not at stage level looking straight at them. Or a lot of places, you're even the crowd's just a little bit above. No, it's the opposite. You're a little below, which
Yeah. That's
yeah,
odd.
that's like considering that those are expensive prime seats, and most people that have gone there have said that the best seats, and oh, those are more money than some of the other seats in the seats, uh, is in these two sections, the sweet spot. But except for the super nosebleed, most of the seats, it's a consensus, is better for the show
Then the
scene,
floor.
uh,
Then the
the
floor.
the graphics or whatever, the visual, than the floor. But hey, the floor is almost 22,000 people, 4,000 more a night, and
Yeah.
Deadheads kind of like, even if you say, oh, these are all seats, they're like, they don't respect that. There's always this upfront crowd. You know what I'm saying? The rail. So
Yeah, I
Oh,
yeah,
the
usually
people
always
that
buy
stand our
floor tickets.
show.
but I'm on the rail a lot, and even with the graphics that they have on tour the last couple of years, when you're
They're
up front
great.
like that, one, you can't see that stuff, so you really miss that part of it. Another, you're like in. There are times, depending on the way they set up the PA and stuff, you're actually
You're
like
missing.
you're in front of the PA, right? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, and there used to be the stage sound. Well, no, they all wear ear monitors, so the stage sound is like not what it used to be. So you're sacrificing on the like, but as a person that spent a lot of shows up front, oh, there's something about being right there,
Of
like
course.
right front that yeah, I'll give the graphic package up. I'll give the top end of the quality of sound up for the front. Yeah, but like
Yeah.
I know, like
Jimmy
oh, there's a
Herring and a
general admission.
monitor.
There'll be people literally like if the show's Thursday night, they'll leave probably like right before the encore. Like it'll be a certain group of people. They're going to start the line immediately after the show ends, or like even a couple minutes before the show ends for the next night. Because yeah, even though a portion of those seats are called CID, where then people pay for these packages, VIP,
Yeah.
astronaut, not that high, but pretty high prices. And then those people get in before the other people get in. So like even if you waited in line all night, when you finally get in there, you won't have a shot at the rail because these other people, and I'm friends with a lot of those people, they're like trust funders, most of them, so they don't give a fuck about money.
I don't care about the rail. I like being in the pit, being on the floor, man. That's my spot, man.
I'm a railer.
Halfway back, I'm perfectly fine. I like to have room to
It's
move.
funny because there's been rail politics since I've been started this way back. And still today there's like rail politics and stuff, and usually it's with a bunch of new faces, meaning like, oh, most of them weren't really around during Grateful Dead
Yeah.
era. Like, like unless you were part of the front in the rail during the Jerry era, then you have no idea how rough and tough like there was no friendly. Oh, it was every inch was like fought for and maintained, and 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 there were a lot of people, mainly dudes, that were just like obsessed with being as close to Jerry as they could. So like to go up front in that era, oh, that was like a whole thing.
It's a
Like
big boy pants on.
like no amount of money bought you that spot. Like today, oh, if you're rich, you can buy the spot, right? Oh,
Yeah, lay a fucking tarp down at a fish show.
back
People
in the
lay
day,
tarps down, man.
the
It's crazy.
hardcore redhead that was the Jerry fan, they were hardcore, man. They were hardcore. Yeah. See, I wasn't part of the Jerry rail. I'm a Phil zoner. I'm Phil. So it was always easier to be up front in front of Phil because everybody else was fighting for Bob and Jerry. But 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 Phil was like less people, or it was like the overflow, people that couldn't get
Oh, come
like,
on.
yeah,
The base is the best place to be.
yeah. No, I'm a Phil guy. I'm a bass guy. Like it mainly came from Grateful Dead and Phil, but then I realize when I listen to music or the musicians I follow and care about are all bass players. Like yeah, guitar fine and dandy, keyboard all of it's fine and dandy. No, I love bass players, especially good ones.
Speaking of bass players, Dave, something happened to Dave Schools. He's either in the hospital or something happened to him. I don't know what.
Yeah, well, I probably
Yeah, that's
think
why they had to cancel Chicago. He's got some weight issues and stuff.
weight issues, and I've noticed over the last few years he's been losing a lot of weight, but
Yeah, he
then
quit
that's also
smoking.
a dangerous thing too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what happened. They just put a statement out, said, he was in the hospital. That's why they canceled the shows. They canceled about 12 hours before showtime. I mean, people were flying there. People had hotels. They couldn't back out. Shit show. But I
Well,
mean,
even
somebody's
When
health
I
is
was at
more important.
Mule, like shit, I just
Matt
showed
went
up.
down, right? Matt
Yeah,
went down for
I
three
was like,
three shows.
I was just got there and was hanging in Fred's office, and Matt came in a little disheveled and said, "Oh, you got one of those?" I didn't even know what that meant. And then Fred gave him the thing. They did the test, and Matt walked out, and then started talking with Fred. And then Fred looks at, it's like, "Oh," and then he walks out and tells Matt to come back, take a second test, and yeah, Matt had COVID, and uh, it he was only gone a few shows and then back, but it made me realize, and even when that happened, the venue
Molo
no
did
longer
good.
had a policy or procedures. Fred, knew what had, but no, they still had Matt. Like, but COVID's still out there, right?
Yeah.
That like it used to be, there was all these protocols, right? Oh, this has to happen. That we're at a stage now where that's like
5 days.
as they've lifted all these things and the different confusion. Yeah, like normally at that point the venue gets involved, okay? Because all right, the venue, right? And yeah, the venue was like, oh well, so many months ago we don't have any more procedures, because there used to be like, oh, a set thing. It wasn't up to you to decide how you're going to deal with it. They had procedures. Like basically, shut the fucking thing down.
Yeah, now it's 5 days and back. I mean, that's it. 5 days.
Or not even. Like it depends. But yeah. But like even then, like okay, so they have two buses, the crew bus and the band bus. They've been on tour like already a week. So then, okay, then sent Matt on his home to recover and all that. But then, like, everyone was like, well, I don't want to ride the bus because he was on the bus. Oh, they had it desanitized and disinfected and all that. But I remember thinking, yeah, well, but one of them said, oh, I'm just going to rent a car. I'll see you up in Sacramento. I'm not getting on the bus.
Well, I'm just getting back to the house, man. I gotta hop off of here. Gotta find
Well,
something for dinner.
yeah, I probably need to get some work done too. It was good chatting with you.
Hell yeah,
Man,
man.
I've
I'll hey, I'll
talked to you
check in.
before. Have fun at those last two. They're gonna be fucking barn burners.
Yeah, I'll check in Saturday when we get back from the show. We're leaving Friday about 9 in the morning for Atlanta. So
Yeah. Well,
I'll hop on live.
I'm jonesing. Like, yeah, now that you tell me we have one more day of this month, somehow I thought, oh shoot, okay, cool. Billy Strings is tomorrow. No, it's not for 2 days.
Yeah, well, your West Coast run's coming next, man. I guarantee it.
Yep, I'm waiting
We
on.
we
Well, you saw the
we've had our
announcement of
fill.
Outlaw Tour. You realize Fred is like the promoter of Outlaw Tour, and that's Bob Dylan, Billy Strings, and Willie Nelson. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's gonna be killer, man.
Yeah. All right, everyone. We'll talk soon. See y'all later. Have a good day. Cap, you're the host, so you got to shut it down.
Sorry about that, everyone. I had to step away for a second, but thanks for sticking around. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, or actually day, and we will catch you Saturday, 10 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and 7 a.m. Thailand, or 10 a.m. I'm sorry, and at 7 p.m. Pacific. Holy shit, I'm high. Peace out, everyone. Have a good one.